Hey everybody, I think we are live. Let's see if we are. I am trying to make some things work. So give me a second as I figure this out. Cruddy crud. Give me a sec. And my cat's bothering me. Okay. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to get a few people in here. I am sending. Okay. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Are we live? Hint of riches. We are live. Okay. So there we go. We had a couple people wanted to come on. So thank you, Mike. I know, there she is.
Hello.
Hey. So I think we're live because there's people in the room. And I also sent it to Tony. So I think that's working. Thank you, Mike. Late call.
Mike, you're awesome.
You're wonderful. So I just wanted to show my little buddy here. She's just hanging out with me. So I got her a little setup. So she's hanging, but she keeps grabbing my arm as I type. So that's what I'm going to be like, oh, you're legit. But she's right out of, so she's right there. Okay, so we have, I think, lots to talk about, or just fun stuff to talk about. We're cooped up. We have lots of things. So you start, Candy.
How about let's talk about my awkward re-entrance into Toby's A Gypsy's Kiss tonight, where I was like,
oh my gosh, there's a new scrapbook. I can't believe it. It's all about anagrams, and Forrest says there's anagrams in the poem.
You have no idea. I almost had a heart attack. Like, be still my beating heart. I thought Fenn wrote a scrapbook on anagrams, and I almost died, but it was just a searcher. But that's okay. It means that I inspired another searcher to think outside the box, or inside the box, and, see it from a different point of view. Totally cool with it.
Well, the good part is...
Kind of sad.
Oh, hey, Tony. I think he's connecting still. His audio is connecting. And anybody else that wants to come on, just let me know. Send me an email, or I just need an email address. And
hold on. Sorry. There we go.
Tony, can you hear us?
Just making sure I can see the chat.
Am I on?
You are on. You are on live. We are live right now.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So you said there's a scrapbook that Forrest says there's anagrams in the poem. We left everybody hanging on AGK.
Yeah, I got excited for Candy because, well, she's the anagram girl.
Anagram girl. I
really am.
Everybody calls me the cowgirl, so I guess it's better than the... I don't know.
I freaked out.
Okay. So, what do we... Okay, so we have... The newest scrapbook has... And I talked about this on Toby's show, but it does have a photoshopped photo. And just so everybody knows, that is Dale that did the Photoshop. So it's not Forrest, so we don't need to read anything into it. Davio, let me know. Come on in. We are on my channel, but if you want to come in, you feel free. I'm trying
I can't see the chat.
You gotta go to YouTube, Hint of Riches for YouTube. Refresh it till it says shows live on video. Then you have to mute the video going live on YouTube, and then open it so the chat screen is on the side, and then you have to bring up Zoom to the side. So it's like you live, it's a 20-second delay, and you can see the chat.
There you go.
All right.
What she said.
If it doesn't work out, I'll just come back to this, and I don't need the chat.
I feel like Toby just wants to kill me. He's like, Candy, you called me, you fed me lies.
I think the opposite. I think he's like, okay. I mean, it was obvious that it wasn't intentional. I mean, something came out and you were enthusiastic, and that's like the most fun thing in the world. So,
well, in my defense, I called Toby back a second time because I texted him and I was like, let me know if you want me to save you. Send a rainbow if yes. He looked like he was just in pain because he was just getting, ran over with such enthusiasm be the other caller. So it was like,
I
I'm
think
gonna
he
call
had a
him.
fun. I mean, what does he have other than us to keep him going? So, he's fine. He's fine. Okay. So, Bridge Chaser, you retracted whatever you said. Come on, say it like it is. Okay, so Doug and Kpro and William and always last line. I have not seen that name before. So welcome, Paul Atriades. Holly's in the house, and William and Anagram, and Captain and Sassafras and Luck. And Britt and Jayla. I mean, there's a crew here. We got a crew going on. So I mean, not bad for midnight.
Hey,
Davio's here. Davio's here.
Davio.
Davio.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know how to do it.
Okay, guys,
That's
if you
good.
want anything going to, because I can, just put at Kpro and I will ask the question. Other than that,
That'll
what is
work.
that, Davio? What are you doing?
I can see the chat on my iPad. I can't.
Oh.
It's easier on that than it is to blah blah blah.
I want
Hey.
everyone to know my store did not have toilet paper, but thank goodness they had Bud Light back. Or I don't know what I would have done. I mean, it's a little scary. The good part is I have plenty of toilet paper, but they were out of bottles, and I was unhappy. So here you go.
I think it's it's just one of those shows that we're not trying to.
I got a bottle.
Nice. I will say in general, Davio, I don't worry about monetization as much as some of these have been exhibit A, B, or C in court for me with my kiddos. So I try to keep it as light as possible so we don't get into too much of outside talk, but all search talk is okay. We just don't get, I mean, we're at a time that obviously my kiddos are not here as a part of chat. But I try to keep it, I don't care about the monetization as much as anything else.
I was just, I swear, so I was just worried about that, and I might take a hit of pot or something. That's about it. That's about as R-rated as I get right there. I'm a pretty mellow guy. What can I say?
Yeah, you're taking a hit of your vape, and that's tobacco as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. Well, and in your state, that's legal. So anyway, I'm still. Are you enjoying this
It's legal
app?
in my state too.
I don't even know. I don't think it is here, but I don't. It's wanting to do an update. Nope. No. I don't want you to do an update. I don't even know if it is here or not. So I'm just going to say I don't know. So, but I'm having a drink. It's been a rough week. I think everybody knew, and lots of people have asked. So I'm going to tell you, I was self-quarantined because there was a person that I had close contact with that got very sick. So I had to spend about 5 days of the 14-day quarantine. He got his test results back on Friday. I hate to say, thank goodness it was only pneumonia. It was not actually the coronavirus. So I'm relieved, but still, I mean, it kind of was a scary thing. So what was that?
I saw your post on Facebook, and I was excited.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, I feel bad because he was still really sick, but he's about a 30-year-old guy, and he bikes every day, so he's real healthy. I know he's going to recover. He was actually worried about just giving it to all of us, and there's a couple people at my employment that are high risk, so that was the concern. So it was like, oh, thank goodness. But I didn't want to say much, but like when Carter was talking about, people that have it, this, that, and I just thought, ooh, this is hitting really close to home. I didn't want to disclose it yet because there was my own issues at work and stuff. Yeah, that was a little bit of, so that was to me, but the unintended consequence, my son does not play video games and he's been stuck inside. So he got on video games the last 3 or 4 days and it's awful. He is so fixated now on these video games. And I'm like, no, you're like almost 11. I haven't had to deal with this, and I know other parents do, but I'm like, you're going to have to ignore this after this next month. But we have 3 more weeks of him here. But
I remember when I raised 3 boys, and I remember the video game drama.
yeah, well, and I think Mike and his boys all love video games, and so my kid never being involved in it, it's been a little bit of an adjustment, but we're figuring that out. I mean, this is going to be an adjustment for everybody. So anyway,
I'm not really a gamer, so I wanted my kids outside.
Yes, and none of the kids are playing outside right now, and that's its own issue. Is when David was out, my little guy was outside, other kids came up, and then their parents freaked out. I mean, they're really concerned about it. It's like I want to like put him in like a mask and full stuff just to but that would not be I don't want to be funny about this because it's very serious, just like the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt.
Don't relevant bubble wrap because it came from China.
Oh.
We all want to pop the bubbles.
But that air is from China. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's start talking serious content. One of the questions, Brit Chaser was in the room. Brit Chaser, Candy, you said there's 11 things. Forrest said there's 11 things, and what are they? He didn't tell me. I thought he said 4 or 5 or 6. 4, 6, 11. What do we think they are? Do we want to make any guesses or not?
When did he?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Davia.
When did he say this 11 things?
Last year when I met him at his house, and me and my boyfriend were hanging out with him, and he just nonchalantly brought it up, and he was talking a lot of stuff, but I'm not one of those people that secretly records anyone or wants to have information that he doesn't want out in the world, because I feel like the information he even says isn't even relevant to the chase. It's just something that he had to do in order to get it happening. So he said it was 11 things, and those 11 things, they're not important. What's important is the 9 clues that you're supposed to follow in consecutive order to find the chest. It's just what he needed to do for the legalities to have it actually happen. So he didn't even go into detail about that. He just mainly said there's 11 things that had to happen before he could do it. And in my opinion, I think one of them was that he had to, be on, the board or whatever for a historical society. Because when he says that the chest is hidden on a site, he says the site. Like, you could go back to Terry Scant, you could go back to the interviews. He mentioned site. And if you look up the term site, it's linked to history, okay? So it's going to be a historical event or something historical in the site, and he probably found a loophole by being on the board of that.
Site, which means location.
Yeah, but it's also tied to, it could be like a building and stuff. I know he said it's not associated with structure, but there's also, natural structures. But I think the whole thing behind the history about it is how he's going to be able to give his title to the gold. Because I feel like he found a way to gain ownership or gain the title for that place. So my research actually breaks it down even more, but that's for another day. But site, history, historical site, and it took 11 things. That's all.
Okay.
So
well, I know he.
That they're, I'm kind of weird.
We all are. We're called treasure hunters. We're weird.
Could there be more?
Well, I think there's going to be less now that some are delayed. I mean, we know that his biography is getting delayed. So, I mean, I believe that was one of them. So,
well, I think when he's talking about 11 things, people are going to pick the crap out of that. But it's not necessary to know those things in order to find or solve the poem or the chase. So that's why I don't think Fenn's going out publicly saying it took 11 things, because it's just like, I had to go through 11 things just to have it happen. So I don't think it's mandatory to know those things.
Oh, so he had to go through 11 things to do this thing. Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's the opposite. I don't think he needed. Okay, here's how I took. He said something similar about some big things are coming out, or I don't know exactly how he said it during the interview. He said something similar to Cynthia. I think he's just saying there's some big things happening in the next year. Not big things happening related to the chase, related to the solve. I think those are two very different things. So I think there's some projects that are coming out, and I know of a few, but it's not mine to tell. It's going to be other people's to tell. That's not related. It's related to Forrest in a tangent sort of way, but it's not related to the solve for the treasure chest. That's my opinion. So I don't think whether it's 4, 7, 9, 11, I think it's more, they're not all related. I don't know if any of them are related to the treasure chest find. You know what I mean?
I did find
Okay,
something on
then.
Google Earth that I found interesting.
What's that?
When I go to Santa Fe and look around, before the first of the year, it was just Nedra Mattiucci Gallery. Now it's Fenn Nedra Mattiucci Gallery.
Say that again.
Before the first of the year, it was just Nedra Mattiucci Gallery. Now it's Fenn Nedra Mattiucci Gallery.
Really?
Where did you see that?
Google Earth.
Huh. I have heard there is something related to the gallery, but I
got screenshots to prove it.
Oh, sneaky little investigators.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that just blew my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that was. I don't know if it's even intentional that is out, but there is. I've just heard some things informally. Off the street. You hear it on the street. I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah.
You hear it on the street about this gallery. Okay.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
No,
But-
like what? I don't think it's. Let's just say some things changed hands or whatever. How is that really? I don't think it's necessarily. I think a few of the things I know are not related to the treasure chest find solve at all. It's just like the guy has a life, kind of like Artie, that book. He's already said it's not related to the chase. Could one of those have been that? I don't think it's related to it.
He said it's 8.2. It's north of Santa Fe. So, I mean,
more than
in
8.25.
Santa Fe isn't, that's not an issue.
Yeah. Well, and I have a feeling since he is in the at-risk category, I would think that he is more bored than ever because he is wise and probably will not have a lot of people over right now. And he just wouldn't, I don't think, expose Peggy or his household to that. And he's in the at-risk category, so he's not traveling. He's bored to death. I bet you he is working on something. There's probably a new surprise just in the last couple of weeks because there's no way last July he could have known about this situation. So I think
Maybe he's just tinkering. I don't know.
I do feel right now that I don't know if it's because of the coronavirus or our situations or time of cycle. I think we have a cycle. I think we're all antsy. Don't you think it's like the dark time of like the cycle? This is like the lowest point. Usually we're excited about his Feb forwards. It might be getting hot right now. We're getting ready to go out and we're all locked in our house. Davio, are you locked away like I am?
Oh my God. I'm in Denver. There's, lots of cases.
Oh, you're
here.
in Denver. Like that's one of them and New York. Those are the biggest hubs of death. Stay in your house.
Well, yeah. So, but at the same time, it's the Rockies. There's lots of air outside. So something to do is to go outside, ride your bike. But finally, the snow stopped. Now that's its own issue, right? I mean, people, the virus is a pain in the ass, but you can't go out because it's full of mud. There's snow, and it's finally melting. So that's just. I mean, I had 5 inches, just yesterday.
Oh wow.
So it's melting like crazy today, real fast. So as soon as I get an opportunity to get out there to the mud,
Put your mud boots on.
that's right. That's right. Big
Okay.
time, especially out in the cow country.
So Davio had 6 inches of snow yesterday. How are you, Candy? You're in Southern California. So were you at 80 or 90? Did you go to the beach? I don't know what it's like there, but I grew up in SoCal.
I
So
was in quarantine inside my house.
oh.
Yeah, they don't want people on the streets out there. They really close it off. They're kind of cracking down. From all my friends in California,
Yeah.
grocery store, home. That's it.
That's what I did today. That's all I did today. So, which is
Rusty Nipples is he still has a foot of snow, and I believe I'm not sure what altitude he's at, but he's got a lot of. I mean, 2017 was a really big year for me, and man, that was a lot of snow that year. I mean, I had to stay in Denver. I went to the 420 party in downtown, which who knows if that's going to happen this year? Probably not. And so then after that, I finally went back out to my blah blah. It's just a lot of freaking snow. I'm ready. I'm over it. I'm way
My
over
wife
it.
grew up in Denver.
Well, I know what you're talking about, GoPro.
That's where I was born.
Do I sound
Good for
okay? I mean, I know I got a deep voice. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you're coming through nice and strong, man.
Yeah,
Very
no,
good.
you sound great. You sound great. So Anagram, Davio and Tony and Candy's like, what did I miss? We just started talking. Candy gave away all the secrets. WWWH is cracked. The anagrams are cracked. I mean, it's who can get there first
It's all
is
over
basically. It's
all
done.
over.
And
I'm coming out with. I'm gonna release a video like probably Monday where I break down what I think the first clue is that we're all missing, and it's got a loophole and things. My boyfriend is not happy right now. Whatever.
if you need to go, you need to go. You just hit off. Well, I will tell you, I think Monday show, somebody asked on Facebook, what happens if I find the treasure chest? And even though I think that's premature for a lot of people, I am going to do here's what you should do, pre-boots on the ground to boots on the ground to how do you get it home to the PR press, selling pictures to all of that. That is I made a little presentation. So that presentation will be our show on Monday. And then 1 week from today, we will just be wrapping up the marathon. And Candy's on it. And Tony's on it. And Davio, are you on this marathon?
You tell me, babe. You want me there? I'm there.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to have a spot or two. But I don't think I remember you on I don't think you've requested to be. So we will see. But we have 20 different searchers, 10 of them brand new. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. I'm trying to come up with contests. And so I just messaged Candy last night. I'm like, give me ideas. This is like your thing. You are like Mother Teresa of the contests of treasure hunts. So
This is weird.
Oh, Anna wants to do a new drinking game. Everyone has to drink when they say Candy's name. Okay, to Candy. There you go.
Should I drink the bottle or the can?
Wait, Christy, so GoPro actually mentioned, and I've noticed this, if you watch the movie Inferno, Dante's Inferno, which is Dan Brown's movie interpretation of Dante's Inferno, he talks about warm water salting. So they just mentioned that, and they're actually right, because I was watching that movie, because I love Dan Brown, and I'm so mad that they took away the secret symbol. They never made that into a movie. Favorite book. But the fourth one, which is Inferno, based on Dante's Inferno, is crazy because it's kind of like we're living that right now. Like, if you guys see my Facebook, I'm like, hey, who feels like they're living a Dan Brown, like, messed up plot novel where a virus is just released into the world to help the environment and Mother Earth grow and all that other crap. But they're right. They talk about warm water salting in that movie and the book.
Well, so let's talk about that. I bought Catcher in the Rye. I bought all of his other books. He said none of his other books have hints, but the books that he references in TTOTC is that something that we should be looking at? I mean, that
Flywater?
Well, Flywater, that's one of, I mean, that I think is kind of related, but do you think, well, okay, like this Inferno, like I don't watch movies at all. So I'm going to try to get into them because of you guys. And Mike is really into them. What, Tony?
That blows my mind. You don't watch movies.
Well, I mean, everyone has their own, escape. So mine's books and movies. Kpro's is probably hanging out with her.
Journal of a Trapper.
I'm not dogging it at all. I'm just.
No, I just mean, I don't even mean for life in general. Life in general, I don't enjoy TV. But I mean do you think there's movies out there that will help for like general movies, like National Treasure, or some people have said even the Masquerade, like Forrest knew about Masquerade. Do you think those help?
Said that.
Are you? Okay. So Weirdo, do you think we need to, like, I don't know about Masquerade, and like, do I need to like go research it?
You don't need to research it to a certain extent. I'm just saying, like, with Fenn, he mentions Indiana Jones types out there. That means that he is well aware of Indiana Jones movies. And if you guys are aware of, the one where he's looking for the Holy Grail with his father, there is a scene in that movie where it talks about them trying to figure out a map, and the map is based off of a river and where they follow the river through the flow and the geographic features. And I feel like that is actually very important to Fenn Solve itself, because I mean, think about it. How would you create a treasure hunt yourself? I've actually started creating my own treasure hunt because I work in so many different fields where it comes with creativity with H and his treasure hunts. And I was trying to make fun games for people. So I was like, how would I create my own treasure hunt? And it just is based off of things that you've picked up, little tidbits that you've started to learn about. And I feel like Fenn, maybe he did that too. So with Indiana Jones, river. That's why my blaze is a river, because you follow it. And it's, everyone knows on a map, you follow a river.
Well, and I did the same thing. So the last year we had coins that I think we did about 15 of them. Mike did a lot more than I did, but I did a few where I made a 1-page scroll. There was pictures, there was this, there was that. And it was amazing to me. We had maybe 100 to 150 people that were trying to solve them. And it was free. You got a coin, but the coins were worth maybe $500, $700. So I was amazed at the things that I thought were so simple that stumped people, and the stuff that I was like, no one's going to get this for at least a month. And they got it like first day, because their minds, like how Forrest is eluding all of us is pretty interesting to me. But I want to get to Toby's point, and I don't think I've talked with him in detail about my new philosophy, and he hit it on the head tonight. So here's my thought, and I think the 5th stanza might be where it hits. I believe there's a bigger story out here than Forrest wants everyone off their texting machines. Like, when's the last time, Davio, you've been sitting behind your texting machine, or me, or any of it? Like, no. Like, I think that might be a secondary, but there is a story. There's a big time story here. I think that's the reason. Why is it I must go and leave my trough for all to seek? I've done it. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. That's the big one that I think he's done something that now he's tired. I think it's related to either the government, some big story, an excavation of Indians or of reservation that he can't say until he's either died or passed it to someone. I think there's like some, and I'm not saying this in a like inappropriate way, there's some sexy story that all of us are going to go, oh, that's so good. So good. That's why he's told no one in his family, because it's something that could get him into trouble. Maybe it's something illegal until he passes it on to somebody. I think that's why it's such a big secret, and that's why only the finder's going to know it, and they can decide whether to tell it. It's like Sitting Bull's peace pipe, but it's bigger. I mean, there is, like, talk about a movie. There's some twist at the end. Okay.
You know Sitting Bull's peace pipe is actually, like, linked to Nez Perce Creek, right?
Yes. And I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. Do you see the last Chief Joseph's his speech? I've done it tired.
His infamous speech. The first time I looked into the solve before I even knew anything, I was in Yellowstone, and I connected it to Chief Joseph from all that and his famous speech, and it's actually right where Yellowstone National Park was thought up as an idea to create the first national park. Like, well,
and do you know how many Indians made it to Canada from the Nez Perce Trail? 99.
99. They got stopped.
9.
Like, they
9. Oh, stop. Double Omega. 9.
Coming up.
Yeah.
9.
In my research, 9 keep coming up.
9. And so when Forrest asked me the time that I had like my big solve, my love solve is Nez Perce Trail. He was like, so what's your solve? I'm like, Nez Perce. He didn't say no. He didn't say, oh, he said, what about Nez Perce? Like Trail, Creek. He didn't say any of that. He's like, what about Nez Perce? I'm like, Nez Perce Trail. He's like, oh, tell me more. He didn't shut it down. He didn't say no. He wanted to know, is it Creek? Is it what is it about that? Ooh, blew my mind.
That's the cunning of Forrest Fenn.
Yes.
He's not going to say yes. He's not going to say no.
Okay, so Godelkin's saying it'll be delayed for a year or two. Is that because of the virus? Is that because of the shutdowns? Why do you think it's going to be shut down? What do we think of this search season? What do we think it's going to be shut down?
Getting back to no, it's not going to be shut down. Back to the point where you're saying perhaps the very location that it's in has significance that has not been brought to public light.
Yes.
There is a great significance to the very location. Perhaps it even ties into his peace pipe. In that, perhaps it's got maybe not that pipe, maybe Indian tribes, perhaps maybe Indian legends. Like, does anybody know where the dog soldiers got their name? Where did the dog soldiers get their names? They're very famous. They would have a red sash, or known as a dog rope, would be tied around them. They would put a spike in the ground, and they would fight. They would stand that ground and fight. Now, that's in, all kinds of legends and whatnot, and that would be something that would be extraordinarily valuable if you had one of those, what's called a dog rope. It's wide, it's woven, it's highly valued amongst Native Americans. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't think it's quite as famous as the Navajo rug, but it's right around, that kind of antiquity that's highly sought after. You guys know about the Navajo rug? You see it on Antiques Roadshow?
No.
I haven't.
$2 million. This guy's got.
Whoa.
Only?
It's what's known as a chief's.
Only.
So and it was sitting on the back of his chair. He got it from his grandfather. He kept it in his house. It was just laying over the back of a chair. And it's a real simple striped design, but it's known as a chief's blanket. And they're extraordinarily rare. This guy walks into the freaking roadshow with this thing, and he thought it might be worth, I don't know, maybe $10,000. So it got auctioned all the way out for $2 million. Somewhere some outrageous amount of money. There's only been 2 that are out there. So I'm saying there are some artifacts and fetish proven. I mean, Sitting Bull's pipe, while it might have some stupid monetary value of $1 million, it's freaking priceless.
Right.
You think about it.
Yep.
There's only pipe in the hands of that man at that time. And history needs to get a hold of that like Sacagawea. There's some seriousness about our history that's really glossed over as not relevant. Just because we're a bunch of stupid white people. So they need to be acknowledged, and this might be a way of putting that out there. There could be,
I agree.
The very location could be significant.
Well, I think even more so,
The very nine is important.
Who are the 2 groups that underestimated him and he doesn't like? Sorry, Michael, one of them's at academics. The PhDs were not nice to him. He went to conferences and academic places, and he was not taken because because of his credentials. The second is the government. He doesn't like the government. I think this whole thing is about American Indians, where he sticks it to the government and he sticks it to the academics to say something he was saying that they would not recognize. He now is like, it's like Sitting Bull's peace pipe, but like a whole different level. I'm totally with you. And if we could figure that out beforehand, it would be epic. I don't think he thinks we can. I think he thinks we're going to do 9 places and find it a different way.
He got out of that airplane, and I think he sympathized with the hippies. His daughters grew up in that freaking era. He was hearing the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and all of that great music in that time, in that era. He was hearing it, and I seriously think that influenced him to a vast degree. I'm sure it made him. You got to be hip to have all these people come to your gallery. You just can't be some stuffy little guy that hates computers. You're gonna crash and burn. This guy is fluid. Change. You want to know the secret to life? It's change. The faster you're able to change and go with the flow, the more you have a chance of having a life. And Forrest is all about that. He realized the government was lying, they're full of shit, parked the airplane, gets out of there, and he sells art. Brilliant man. Brilliant. That's the polar opposite of war. He had a career in that. Was he a major, a colonel? He had a career. He could have just kept rolling that. And he said, F that. You know what I mean? He just said, that's not me. I'm doing this. Art, a very hard thing to get into. Boom. He recognized the value, and that was his deal. He stole sprinkler heads to freaking make stuff. That's genius. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm not a fan of going with the flow. I kind of like to, live my own life.
Well, and I think you
bald
just
head and long 14 chin hairs.
Are you quoting Forrest or yourself? I know you're quoting yourself, but that's Forrest. That's the kind of person he wants to find the chest, because he's like, I don't think we need to break any laws. I don't know that for sure, but he's also saying like, wait until you hear this story. It's going to be like, all of us are going to go, oh my gosh, I totally get it now. I do. I think that.
I believe in right. I believe in wrong. You know, I'm a Gemini, so I am the good and the bad. But be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
That's good.
That's my philosophy.
Okay, so do you? Okay, so fifth stanza. I just gave I pontificated. What do you think that fifth stanza is?
You mean the line or the stanza? The whole paragraph?
Yeah. Why is it? I must go and leave my troll for all to seek. I've done it. The answer I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. That's where Toby was asking tonight.
I felt so stupid when Toby kept reiterating that question and asking me it, because the way he was asking it, I wasn't really comprehending it with his word choices. But finally,
he puts a framework in your answer. You know what I mean?
He puts you in a box.
Yeah, he puts you in a box. In the way he questions it, it's not really. I mean, that's not the answer that's going to work. I can't answer his questions because they're wrong.
They're wrong. Like, this is what Mike says. You're wrong. Okay, so let me put it this way. Okay, here's how we do it here. Troves, seeking, we're tired. What do we think?
Trove is a key word in the fifth stanza.
Okay, so leave, trove, seek, already know, tired, weak. What do we think? We don't need for sure, just like, is it important? Because it's... Here comes Toby.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right here. So why must I go? That stanza. Isn't it fascinating? These words, these eyes that are in here, right? And you cannot, right? So these eyes are in. There's a symmetry to this. I believe there's a drawing. You see how it says "so" and "go"? You see how this "go" lines up with that word right down there? He's making a pool table out of this. It's go, go, go. 3 goes, and then you got so, so, and a blank spot. And if you'll notice on page 146, he's got his hand in his pocket. Subtlety. This is the very definition of subtlety. Why do you think it hasn't been found? The man doesn't want it found. It's not hard, it's subtle. And subtle is extraordinarily freaking hard. That's why May is great.
I just want to point out, like, when I read the poem, I like to read it actually from bottom to top. So, you know, I give you title to the gold up to there. Because, again, where I see it, I think that the blaze is the first clue, and it unlocks where Warm Waters halt. So I feel like he intentionally made it where you're supposed to read it from the bottom up.
See the big blank spot right there? So I made a pool table. What's he talking about? The bracelet's tied to the pool table. And then if you'll notice, when you come to page 15, you can plug in where it says "so" right into it. So in other words, page 15, where it says "so," fits like it's a continuation of the poem. Isn't that amazing? There's 24 lines, and it starts out with "so." Right? Have I got the right freaking end? No. So. There's so. So would fit right into that square and be a continuation of more parts, because he says, after midnight, here I sit. He's giving you a place to be within the location. You know what I mean? It's a continuation.
Okay, so here's 2 things. I think, for me, Davio is way too imaginative. I'm thinking he's gone so far, but some people are like, ignore him at your own peril. What you just said completely blew my head off. Candy, like, the blaze is the first one. No, he has said WWWH is the first one. So my head is gone. It's gone.
Ben has said the first time he ever said where the first clue is in the New Zealand interview, he said the first clue is begin it where Warm Waters halt. Okay. Everyone likes to shorten it to where Warm Waters halt.
But he also has quotes where he said only.
Where Warm Waters halt, it's still the where, okay? You still are looking for the where. That is your prerogative. You need to find the where.
But that could be in the first stand. So
Everywhere.
you're of the notion that begin it where warm water salt is not the first clue. Not the first clue.
No, I'm the notion that the it in begin it is the first clue. Then the where is the second clue, which is the home of Brown.
Ah.
But up until recently, when I tried reading the poem from the bottom up, I always discounted that I was wrong because I always thought the blaze was the ninth clue, just like everybody else. But why would he say, if you've been wise and found the blaze? That's past tense. So I think he's got an ancient out clause. The it is the blaze. The blaze is my warm waters. And that is how you unlock it. If you don't have the blaze, you don't have the warm waters or where they halt.
But there's a billion blazes. There's only one where warm waters halt. I'm going to use Forrest words against you because
I feel like the blaze is what unlocks it because the blaze itself is the warm waters. So y'all know the blaze to me is the fire hole. The fire hole warm waters halt at the home of Brown. But if you start it from the bottom up, I give you title to the gold if you're brave and in the wood. So hear me all and listen good, all that other stuff. So if you bring it from the bottom up, it's actually telling you exactly where to go, exactly where to look. Just saying.
Okay.
That's my
and you know what? That is, here's the cool part. I think, no. But here's the cool. When you go and pick it up, I would go, that's the kind of thought it would take, and I didn't have it in me to do that. It's going to take somebody thinking completely different to go pick it up. Just like Davio, I think, no, if either of your solves make it, I don't even know yours, Tony. Either of your solves make it to it, I'm going to go, I am so glad to know it. My mind wouldn't have gone there. Power to you.
What do you think Fenn says? He says, why didn't I think of that? When it's solved, everyone's going to go, why didn't I think of that? That is Fenn's own words. Okay.
It's the story.
So,
it's the story. It's my thing. It's the story.
Well, yeah, no, it's a story. It's the way you interpret it. It's the way you see the blueprint in the poem, which is the map. It's the way you understand his connection and why he did it. And like I said, again, if he's saying, everyone's going to say, why didn't I think of that? Everyone, you already know, is starting before Warmer Assault. So why does Fenn keep saying everyone isn't getting the clues in consecutive order? He's saying it's out of order. No one's been able to email him the correct solve in order. And why is it he keeps saying that people are figuring out the first clue, but they don't know they had the first clue? And also, why is he saying the person who's the finder of the chest, they're the only person that's going to understand that they have the first clue once they have the chest? And again, I think it's because you have to have the blaze in order to find the where warm waters halt. But he's tricky because technically you don't have to know the blaze until at the end when you arrive to the chest. It reveals it. He lets you know, okay, you found the blaze. Here's your prize. It's all in the structure of the words in the poem.
Sure.
Okay.
What I find interesting is 9-9. Nine keeps showing up. 9 clues, 9 this, blah, blah, blah. What's up with 9? Isn't it interesting how Einsteinium is 99? Okay? And then there's a whole chapter, 24. 24 is relevant because there's 24 lines in the poem. So if he's referring to Einsteinium 24, and then I believe page 136 is all part of your coordinates that's off of your compass. So I find tie-ins if you use a compass. I mean, how could you not use a compass? He's a pilot. Why wouldn't a compass be part of it? If you look on your typical compass face, you'll notice that 24 and 136 are together.
Okay,
It's
so
also,
here's... keep going. But I have a question for the room after you're done. Davio.
I believe east is Austin. It's OS. I believe it's, in other words, it's a German type of compass. And so they use O for east, I believe. I think
I hadn't thought about it
Nine
before.
in German is also no.
9. Yes, 9. Okay. Here's a question for the room. Has anyone found references to an island in the books besides the paragraph after the poem?
Yes, but I can't say.
I know Hawaii is a big one that I've seen on the forums, is all I will say. And Tony's going to tell us after one more candy round, he's going to tell us all of his secrets.
Am I?
Oh, that's the secret. That's the secret
Oh, you
word.
want my secret? Oh.
Yes.
Wait, Christy,
You guys
are you
ain't
able to
ready
get
for
your
my
question
secret.
again?
Say that again?
reiterate your question again?
Okay, so has anyone found reference to an island in the books besides the paragraph after the poem?
Yeah. In Love with Yellowstone. When he talks about Yellowstone, the exact spot where Yellowstone was actually thought up as an idea as the first national park, and they were on an island camping.
Okay.
And that's about
so you're saying, okay, I took an island like C, but you're saying, oh, well, Decall has Minnie's hat, the whole little island in the middle of whatever lake. I don't remember his. William,
it's on the Firehole River. There is a certain spot right on the Firehole River where the Firehole River meets Madison for Madison Junction. There's an actual little island, and that is the actual very specific spot where they all camped there and decided a wonderful idea that this place needed to belong to, the public, and that is how Yellowstone National Park came into being. Like, if you look it up about Madison Junction and the history of it, Yellowstone National Park was created because of a camp. They were camping there on that island, and you could still go to this island or to that island this day. So when he talks about islands, that's the first thing I come up with is the birth of Yellowstone National Park.
Interesting.
But is that specialized knowledge?
No, you go to the Yellowstone National Park, it's freaking posted all over the place.
I have a theory on specialized knowledge.
Please tell me, because my last solve, that was the two people I shared it with, they were like, specialized knowledge. I'm like, no, I can find it on the internet. What do you mean? So please tell me. I'm sending
specialized knowledge. All right. Everything. I'm trying to word this right. All knowledge to somebody is specialized knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really mean
if you don't know that knowledge, somebody else might know that knowledge, but it's not specialized knowledge to that other person.
I agree with you. So someone illiterate could not, they would say specialized knowledge is reading the
You
poem.
don't have to be illiterate. You could be dumber than a box of hammers, but you might know that this hammer weighs 4 pounds.
Well, no, but what I mean is someone that doesn't know how to read would find specialized knowledge in having to read the poem. So where is your line then? Because we do have lines that are on this end, or Einstein Advanced Theory and Codes. Where do you put your line of how much research do you have to do to understand the... Go ahead, Davia.
Think about it. Specialized knowledge to somebody who's 20 is gonna be special to somebody who's 10. You know what I mean? I mean, does a 10-year-old know the same math that a 20-year-old knows? No, because a 20-year-old's smart enough to get a calculator. A 10-year-old's forced to do long division. I mean, there's, you know what I mean? There's,
right.
I think age has got a lot to do with it. I mean, I know, but I'm not really good at transmissions. In the dark, turn on your.
Well, and Davio, I have to tell you that
transmissions, so I know a little bit about transmissions.
Well, and
to me, it's not specialized knowledge.
Well, I agree. It is.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I showed my son Davio's full solve the video that you sent, and it was interesting because he loved the like compasses and pointing, because that was, even though it was kind of specialized, it made sense to him and it kind of clicked when you got to periodic table and all that. And he's like, Mom, I'm like in class. I don't think Forrest would want to be in school. And I was like, okay, this is good feedback to know. So, Okie Chest Chaser, what do you think?
Can you hear me right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You want to know how much specialized knowledge you got to have?
Yeah, and the fifth stanza and anything else you want to talk about.
You got to have about as much specialized knowledge as a redneck from Texas has.
Okay, so...
What about a redneck from Iowa?
I was in Kansas for a while.
I'm a redneck from Oklahoma.
Okay, I was going to say I've harvested the 260 acres of hay and alfalfa. But I think that's a great, I think it's the equivalent.
I know that job.
Yeah, and it's tough. But I think that's the equivalent of, like, my son, who's 10, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but it's more, he doesn't know the hard work of things, but he knows enough to know, exactly like Davia said, long division and those sorts of things, but not so much that it can get too advanced Einstein or code. Like, if Mike gets into codes with him, he goes, woo! So
did you know Einstein actually was the one that followed up with Brownian motion?
Brownie in motion. What does that mean?
Brownian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brownian motion is when the molecules are moving fast or they're moving slow. So when warm water, like the warmer the water, molecules are going into Brownian motion. So they're going at such a frequency that
The hotter they are, the faster they move. The colder they are, the slower they move.
Yeah, like when it's colder water, they slow. So that means a protective layer can actually entrap the oxygen so trout can breathe in the water. That's why brown trout cannot survive in warm waters. They actually suffocate.
Okay, so anybody that's trying to get on right now, you can't use previous links. I have to send you a new link. So send me a quick email that you want to come on, and I will be more than happy to send you a quick email. And we will keep chit-chatting away. But many people are like, I keep clicking the link. It's like, yeah, it won't work. I promise you it won't work. So keep going. Okie Chest Chaser, what does that fifth stanza mean to you?
Excuse me for a minute. Bud Lights are talking.
Oh, his Bud Lights are talking. What do we think, guys?
Honestly, I feel like we are meant to read the poem from the bottom up.
What do you guys think of that? What do you think of that, Davio, Mr. Imagination?
I think it goes both directions. There isn't one direction. Definitely from the bottom up. Page 15 teaches you that. And also, you go from the top down. Interesting, the numbers that land on said words in the poem. So, there's a bunch of little tiny parts. That's what I see. This is like a watch. That's what this is like. A bunch of little parts that have to put together in exactly the same way, or you ain't gonna tell it's all right.
Well, I mean, listen to this. If you guys have ever tried to read it from the bottom up, it says, I give you titles of gold. He's telling you. He's daring you, right? If you're brave and in the wood, your effort will be worth the gold. It's another hint, right? So hear me all good. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. The answers I already know and leave my trip for all to seek. So why is it that I must go? So he says, just take the chest and go in peace, but Terry scant with marvel gaze. Look quickly down your quest to cease if you've been wise to fight the blaze. So it's predetermining the blaze in the poem that is the first thing you need to find in order to find his treasure trove. I've never actually seen it like this until tonight, and it's kind of blowing my mind right now. But just like everybody else, I was limited to my imagination because everyone else believes that the ninth clue is blaze. You can't skip over until you're at the blaze. The blaze is the ninth clue.
But you can't backwards engineer it. So that's where he says you can't backward engineer it. You can't start at the blaze.
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm not starting the blaze. He's telling us that we have to start where warm waters halt. But the thing is, I think that it is the blaze, which is the warm waters. So we're still, because we're starting where warm waters halt.
Ooh, Okie likes what you're saying. Okie, you agree? Because my mind is exploding and I need to open my mind and not close my mind. So tell me it in a different way because you're picking up what she's throwing down. It seems.
Warm water and the blaze.
I have a different interpretation than what Candy does.
You have a different interpretation. Okay, go ahead then.
I think the it in stanza 5.
For me, the blaze is up.
Okay.
You got to look quickly down, and your effort will be worth the cold. Since it's up, I'm thinking tree. It has to be in a tree. So your effort will be worth the cold. To me, is like fall or spring when the leaves are falling and before the leaves are full.
so you think it's a time of year? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything against candy.
You're
No.
good.
Okay.
No, Fenn actually has
You know,
said,
it's just my interpretation, you know?
I like how you mentioned leaves, because Fenn actually said on Terry Stanton quote, when he's talking about, is the chest hidden or is it buried? Is it entombed or sepultured? He actually said, what would you say if leaves blew in there?
Yeah.
He actually said leaves blew in there. So you might be right. You might be
You know,
false.
that came to me from the White House leave.
The White House
And
leaves?
that was in a scrapbook.
Oh, okay. Huh.
You know, you remember which one I'm talking about? There's like a doodle on a napkin of the White House.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm glad somebody does.
It's a while back, though. That one hasn't been lately.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I've only been here since October, but I've done my research.
Yeah. Well, so you think the scrapbooks hold hints?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
They're
the
subtle,
For me.
but if you have, you know, like you said, imagination,
okay.
maybe. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. To me, yeah.
Okay.
The last scrapbook really blew my mind. I was extraordinarily happy to see that, because it was a minor confirmation of a theory or a concept I have, and some of what he said just was completely in line with that. I was very happy. I'm still happy about that, actually.
Hey, Davio, do you still have the emails I sent you, I think it was last weekend, of my drawings?
Oh yeah, the face drawing.
Yeah, the guy with the beard. I saw that image in a tree with no leaves. It was in the middle of winter,
Wow.
and you can show it if you want. Yeah, if you still got it. I can't do it on my end.
I thought it was a great drawing. I thought that was very cool. We had an art night for a minute, and people were kind of sitting related art, and this guy's seeing this killer image in a tree. He does a great pencil drawing, and I was able to kind of half-ass show it off of my laptop. It's terrible, but you definitely should send that in to Toby or Homegirl here, because they know how to put that stuff up. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So.
You know what I mean?
No, we'll put it. Yeah, we'll put it up. Everybody should put it up. We're actually on the marathon. We're going to show anything that's up, anything that people are selling. We're going to have a whole discussion about whether it's okay that people are selling what they've been inspired to in art and those sorts of things. So, and then anywhere just selling individual items and all that.
If somebody wants to buy the original, cool. If not, I'm just here to share.
Cool.
I think the idea of inspired art is bitching. And yes, caller, you are on the air. See you. There's no image, but we can see you.
So Shadow is saying Forrest never said anything on Terry Scant. He was recently quoted in an interview that said Terry Scant means get the hell out of there. So I think he has.
Yeah, he did.
But maybe not. And hi, Stacy.
Candy.
But Candy, and Candy is here. So Candy's our special code word tonight. David Calvi, are you there?
I'm here.
Give us your secret. We only see a black screen, but give us your secret words. What does the fifth stanza mean? What about this whole thing Candy has said about the blaze is where warm waters haul? I don't know. My mind still explodes. I don't even know what she said.
I
But
was saying the blaze is what has the warm waters that we need to find that halts, which I think halts at the home of Brown. And I also think we are meant to read the poem from the bottom up. If you think about it symbolically, you're still starting at begin at where warm waters halt, because he's asking you, where do the warm waters halt? They halt at the home of Brown.
And my mind's exploding to it, but I'm open to it. Give me a day. But if that makes sense to you, Dave, tell us what you think, because you know what the problem with you, Candy, is I've just started talking to you and your stuff doesn't make sense to me, but it's intriguing enough that I'm like, I got to open my mind and try to figure out what you're saying is I won't say logical because I don't follow the logic, but it's sensible. So I'm like, I gotta try this. I gotta try. I mean,
Kristen,
God, we've been on every other roller coaster.
You didn't see it like this, so don't feel bad at all. But when I make my video and I break it down with facts and quotes that back up and support each other, you might actually be like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" So, just saying.
Okay, that's the second one. No more of that. Okay, Davio said one. You said one. No.
What?
The F ones. We're trying to keep it relatively clean. Because look at Dave's kids. They're watching, and we don't want them upset. Look, do you see the cute little bunch kids?
I don't care.
Oh,
Dad.
come on.
Go to bed. You're a child. You should go to bed.
Let's try to keep it relatively. Let's just relatively. I'm not saying 100%. Relatively. Okay. So next.
We're all good.
Okay, Dave.
That picture.
We see you off mute. Tell us all your secrets, basically.
Yeah.
Fifth stanza. What do you think about what Candy just said? Because it's blowing my mind, and I want to hear what other people think because it's kind of cool, but I can't. I haven't wrapped my head around it. She's far ahead of me.
Honestly, I didn't hear a whole lot. I heard reading it backwards, but I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I thought about reading the thing backwards at one point, but I think that we need to take things exactly how the order in which they're placed, and I don't think there's any solid evidentiary reason to not take it from line 1 to line 24.
Okay. So that might be messing with the poem at initial thought. We've been doing this for 10 years, though.
I would do it.
Okay.
I think that, and the other thing, the other night it was the other Christy.
Meeps. Yeah.
Meep, meep, meep,
Meep,
meep.
meep, meep, meep.
Is Meep there? I'm not looking at the screen right
She's
now.
not on, but we have her here in spirit.
Yeah, she said something to the effect of the poem doesn't start at, as I had gone along in there, and it doesn't end at, I give you guidance. And I think that's more of the same kind of, not really, it's not really what we should be doing.
What should we be doing,
What should
Dave?
we be doing?
We should read the poem just as it is.
We've tried that for 10 years. Now what?
Well, there's all the information you need to find the treasure is in the poem. He said
Exactly.
that. And it you know, if I say that I know what's happening, what's going on, then you call me a rooster. And
I won't.
well, yeah, but that's the general consensus. If someone said they know where it is or they know how to solve it, then the comment is then just go get it. But
Well, no, so here's a little bit of difference for me. If somebody comes on and goes, oh, you know, we feel so sorry for you. You're so stupid. Here is how you solve this, little girl, and pat on the head. I'm going to call you a rooster. If you respectfully come on and go, God, I put a lot of time in here and I have some thoughts like Candy has. I'm sitting there going, God, you're making me scratch my head. And she's not going, and you're dumb. She's just saying, here's what I think, and I'm really excited about it. And I haven't seen a really excited pure person really articulate this well in a while. I go, woo! So for you, Dave, I know you're going to be kind of new to the coming on and saying it. I would just say it more towards, here's what I got, and I'll say some of it. Maybe I won't say others, but I'm not going to call you stupid and pat you on the head and make you feel really silly. That's the part that I think it's the rooster title.
okay, so can I tell you some things then?
Yes, we would love it.
Background. Okay, background. I've been
Bring
working
it.
on the same solve, the same general solve, and it just gets more and more and more solved. Every line gets solved, and I've gone out probably 15 times, but the reason why I have failed, or like Edison says, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just, or 1,000 times, 10,000. I just found 10,000 times that wouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
So
We
every
all
time,
fail, man.
every time I
Learn
go
from
out, every time I go out, it's because I solved a certain part of it, a certain part, and then I thought that was it, and then I realized that wasn't it after spending, probably $16,000 at this point. So then I go back home and I, lick my wounds, and I realized that was only, let's say, the 4th clue, and then I go ahead and I break the 5th clue, and then I think that's it, and that's not right. So now I've gotten to the point where I believe that I have figured everything out. And the one that really stuck me was clue number 6. But I can't tell you what that is, obviously.
You can't tell us what you think clue 6 is because we will all run to it?
I can't tell you what clue 6 is, clue 6, clue 7, because if I did that, it would give my thought process away, and I can't do that.
Have you said what state you're in?
I'm in Montana.
Okay. I've had a Montana solve. It's good. Good state. Okay. At least you didn't say Texas or something. So we're good. I think Candy likes you more now.
You have all 9?
Hey, you said the word.
I believe I have all 9. Yes.
Oh, we got a drink? Okay.
Candy's in charge. I will return.
Every time you say my name, you got a drink.
I'm out.
Candy.
Oh, come on, man.
Really wanting a beer.
I'm an alcoholic, and Monday is my 6th anniversary of not drinking.
Wow.
Oh, good for you, man. That's
so
awesome.
for you guys, candy.
Thank you, good sir. Thank you.
That's awesome for you, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That's outstanding.
I don't know you,
And I'll
but
tell you what. I truly believe, and again, I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm not trying to be condescending, but for me, I would never have been able to figure out what I figured out if I was drinking.
I agree with that. In 2014, I went to treatment because at that time, I could drink a case of beer and half this bottle and walk and talk straight. I fooled cops. I fooled all of them. So yeah, I know what you're in, man.
But I'm happier now. There was a time when I wasn't happy about it, but like the first year or two, I was kind of what's called a dry drunk. Really pissed off that I couldn't drink. But now I'm good. I can't put even, an ounce in me or I want 24 beers. So I've learned from all the other people that I used to go to meetings with that it never ever goes away. And I don't ever think that I'm cured, so to speak. If I drink a little bit now, I'll just finish every single night with 12 to 20 beers.
But I tell you what, Dave, I've been on the 9-step Fenn program here for probably about 10 years, and as you know, I've been doing this shit for so long that I'm ready to win some kind of friggin' award. I feel like I graduated high school, maybe a half a degree in college. I've never read so much in my life as I have on this thing here. So you can't be out of it. You have to focus. You can't be drinking and research and put things together and make big whiteboards of information and stuff. You gotta put stuff together that's so abstract, and settled. It's tricky, but fun, and it takes your mind off all the nightmare which is everyday life currently. Blah.
Spellcaster, you're breaking my heart right now.
So what I think is happening is that warm water's halt and the blaze are somehow related. Because they're both temperature and like she's, past tense. If you found the blaze, what does that mean? That's got to be somehow related to the warm deal. That was my thinking, right? That there's somehow got to be related to that. I also thought
if you've been wise and found the blaze, okay.
I'm on the same page as you.
But I differ in that I think there are drawings in it that equal as a clue.
Yeah, page 99.
when you just look at the poem, how the lines longer than the other ones, and if you draw a line between the L's and the I, you have words that line. I'm thinking that there is, in reality, that would be very kid-like to draw on it, right? To make a drawing in it somehow part of this whole thing. That would be a real fun way to make sure that kids are involved, you know? It's just like those doctor's office books. We have to go dot to dot, you know? Stuff like that. That's what I had found. There was, and page 15 is inspired me to go look around like that. Because I thought there was just so many coincidences that wasn't right. No coincidence in a book that's a game, actually, is how I saw it. So page 15 I saw as a way of applying.
Wait, when you say too many coincidences, let me stop you there. So when it fits too well, when the puzzle pieces come too into line, you say, wait, that bends my mind. Isn't that when you go, yeehaw, boots on the ground, baby?
Well, yeah, but there's more than, there's a lot of information. Here's my page 15. You go to the video I made, it'll be a lot easier. But what's fascinating is,
You have that laminated?
the word 79th word from the bottom line, the 10th line from the end, like she was saying, from the other direction, it's the 10th line from the top down. It says writ 10, and the word 10 is in there. It's interesting how there's numbers this way, and you count it that way, and you get information. You see coincidences that seem to be stacking up. So, I mean, after 2 or 3, it seems like, I mean, it's 45 degrees. Where it says 42, it is 42 degrees. That seems like that's pretty funny, you know? I mean, it says too long. Well, I took that as 4-2. Fair enough. From the word sit to that is 42 degrees. Interesting stuff. Sit, I found important because the word banco is very critical. I mean, that means you're sitting on a bench. Had to be some kind of importance.
Does banco mean bench?
Yeah, banco is a really interesting Spanish word. Means where you keep money, but it's also a bench near a fire, as in blaze. Right?
Gotcha.
So anything that's got to do with fire and heat has got to be relative to blaze. So anything in the book that's talking about it, the 2 fires we see with the thumb in the air and all that, the gypsies, I took all that to be relative to blaze, as in, you know, poem, blaze.
Okay, so Oki, what do you think about this? That's very imaginative. Is yours imaginative? Where are you at when it comes to this in a philosophy?
In it where warm waters halt, my imagination starts at the beginning.
That's what Candy's. Okay.
It is, to me, it is the subject of that line. You gotta know what it is to be able to even go any further, because you are supposed to begin it and take it. Therefore, you must know what it is.
I know what it is.
Okay, so one person agrees with you, one person says they know it, so they're liking what you're saying. So keep going. So now is the next your canyon?
What is it?
The
It
blaze.
is your quest.
The journey. Okay.
The quest, the journey, the
aboard.
blaze. I heard 3 different answers, and Candy's.
I'll tell you what my it is.
Okay.
Journey, pretty much the same thing.
My it through the whole poem. Every it in there
Mine too.
is a stream.
Mine too.
Oh my God, they have the same salt. Run! Who's gonna get there first?
Hey, I just want to reiterate.
We begin in different places, but we're in the same state.
I want to reiterate my first quote, or my first. Oh God, you guys, I'm happy. Okay, so I just want to say how I'm talking about starting at the bottom up. I'm not saying that the clues start from the bottom up. What I'm saying is when you read the poem from the bottom up, it is helping you predetermine where the it is to begin it, which is the blaze. If you read it from the bottom up, Fenn's telling you if you've been wise and found the blaze. That is predetermining. And Fenn was even uncomfortable when he was trying to answer Carolyn's email about can the blaze be predetermined in the poem, or can it be predetermined at the site? And he said he didn't want to answer that. So if you read it from the bottom up, you're predetermining the blaze as it that you need to find when you're starting the first clue where it starts at begin it. So obviously it's still starting from here at the top down, but in order to figure out what you're supposed to find and where to start it, you go from the bottom up. Okay.
What if
Okay.
the answer is yes to both parts of that question?
Okay, continue. Sorry.
Oh, well, I thought he was asking you.
No, Tony was asking you, Candy. Candy. I don't know if you. What if both parts of what you just said are true? Is what Tony
That was
said
me,
to you.
Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh, I mean, I'm not allowed to hoot my own horn and say I'm completely right. I'm just saying my imagination is telling me this is how you're supposed to see it and approach it and then figure out where to go. But, I mean, I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
hey,
I wasn't really asking.
You can say you're
Candy
right as long as you
exclusively.
believe it.
I'm asking a rhetorical question. The question that was asked by the person Candy mentioned to Forrest is, can the blaze be determined before boots on the ground or after boots on the ground?
No.
No, he said, she asked, can the blaze be predetermined in the poem, or can it be predetermined when you're at the actual site with boots on the ground? That's what the question was.
I think there's more than one blaze.
That's imagination.
Well, that could also be tied into warm water. Could be a type of blaze, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. My blaze is warm waters.
Wait, so now when we hear that we need to get to a 12-inch by 12-inch, I know that hasn't, I don't think it's come out. Maybe Cynthia's already put it out. I know she said it, but I don't know if the actual audio's come out. Before you leave your home, you should have a 12-inch by 12-inch location. How do you do that when you can't determine even what the blaze is before you get there?
I took in geography, or else I would have a 12 by 12.
I think you can determine the blaze before you get there.
Okay.
I think you
Has
have
he ever said the blaze is not visible on Google Earth?
Yeah,
No.
he said that, hasn't he?
That's because it doesn't go down that far.
I
No,
think he said the
chest.
treasure
He didn't
chest.
say the blaze.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying. He said the chest.
Yeah.
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 But I said, I'm asking about the blaze.
No,
Right.
I think he's
that quote applied to about the chest. It doesn't go down small enough to that. But that did not apply to the blaze. The blaze is visible on Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's true.
And so warm water halts.
Exactly. The blaze is a freaking river, in my opinion.
I mean, it's all clear, for goodness sakes.
Go, girl.
It's as clear as mud.
Well, and this is the thing that I want to say. I would never call Candy a rooster. I would call Candy a confident searcher. And I actually,
Absolutely.
I haven't seen her entire solve down to the last spot, but I don't think she's right. But I think she could be right, and if she goes and gets it, I'm going to go, oh, I was wrong, and you're awesome. That's like the perfect scenario. So whatever, you should do like a Rooster 101 video on how to be confident and not rooster-ish or something. So, Oki, what do you think? You're deep in thought, Oki. Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, I think we're not listening to Forrest sometimes. For one, when he don't answer a question, you need to really
That's
think
an answer.
Yeah. I absolutely believe that.
So if I did a video on all the questions that Forrest would not answer during the interview, do you think that would be helpful to the search community?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I was asking Oki.
To an extent.
It would help me. It helps
To an
me.
extent.
Exactly, to an extent.
Okay.
Can I throw something in here?
Yes, I think that's Dave because I saw no one else's lips moving.
It is Dave, yeah. He was asked again fairly recently, has anyone else gotten any closer than the 2 or 3 that he had mentioned years ago? And he didn't answer the question. He just moved past it. And I think if you were to ask him, do you know for sure that someone has solved the first 5 clues?
Clues?
And you wouldn't let him. I mean, you couldn't force him, obviously, But if you kept asking it until he answered it absolutely factually, I don't think he would, because I think that he would have to say someone's solved 5 clues.
Well, the only
Yeah,
question
I don't
I
think that
asked,
would ever come out of his mouth.
the
No,
only
I don't either.
the only question I asked, and I think we might have put it out, I'm forgetting at this point because we put a lot out, and then we're putting a lot in the documentary. We've talked to a network about some stuff, so I'm kind of, so don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to it, Candy. But I asked him the question of why hasn't the treasure chest been found? And his answer was something like, because no one has solved the 9 clues. And I thought that was an interesting answer. He didn't say nobody solved the poem, nobody has gone boots on the ground. He said nobody has solved the 9 clues. I thought that was an interesting answer.
It's a great answer. It's true.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
switch here,
Fenn
but
himself has actually said that in order to figure out the final clue, he says you actually have to be boots on the ground. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but on Terry Scant, there's something that's along the lines where he says, in order to find the final clue or solve the final clue, you have to be boots on the ground. You have to be there.
I think that the exact is a physical presence is required for the 9th clue. Google Earth cannot help you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, so here's a question I'd like everybody to answer. Do you believe that you have to be boots on the ground more than once to be able to find the treasure chest?
No.
Okay, Dave says no. What do you think, Oki?
Not if you're good enough.
That's right. You have to be good enough, and I'm not.
Okay, Davio?
You have to recognize some of the landmarks to know you're even in the right place, and then apply, the next 5 clues. Let's say it takes 3 or 4 clues to get there, and then it takes another 5 or 6 to stand on the spot that's 12 by 12 or 10 by 12. So I'm thinking you have to recognize these landmarks. You may not figure it out at first. We don't know what they are. All right?
Okay.
I think the blade is the only thing you got to be boots on the ground for.
Oh, interesting. Okay, what do you think, Candy? Do you have to be more than once?
Wait, what was the whole question?
What do you believe you have to be more than one? Do you have to go boots on the ground more than once to get that treasure chest? Take it home.
Well, I mean, okay, break it down like this. Fenn said that the poem itself is a blueprint, right? So I feel like the person who actually can see the poem as a blueprint, how it's structured, how it's laid out, they won't have to go a multitude of times looking for the clues because they already have it structured. And he said that once you have the first clue, they follow in consecutive order, meaning they connect and you follow it from point A to point B.
So I'm gonna summarize that as possible but not probable.
Well, I mean, if you're seeing the blueprint, then yes, you could go once. But if you're not seeing the blueprint, then no. It's going to take a multitude of tries to figure out what connects and how it connects.
Tony?
So, Chrissy?
Yes. Tony and then Dave. Go ahead, Tony. You had your hand up. You were ready to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I believe you do have to be boots on the ground at least twice. Second time, you find it. If you're correct the first time.
Oh, you're dancing. I mean, you're.
Oh yeah. I'm reaching. I'm way out in left field.
I was just asked by a reporter, have you ever dreamed about that time that you look down and you get the treasure chest and you take it home? I'm like, everyone has. That's why we're in this. Like, everybody has to have dreamed. Oh, Tony, that's like you saying you're not going to take it home with you. You're just going to leave it there. Come on. You haven't dreamed about that?
I'm not leaving nothing. I'm taking that shit with me.
But you haven't dreamed about finding it?
Not that I can remember.
Oh, I have. Okay, Dave?
That's a perfect answer.
So the question was...
I don't recall.
the question was, can you find it on the first boots on the ground? And
no.
Technically, yes. Technically, you can, but you really have to be superhuman mental.
Okay.
And for me, it took 15 times of failing and knowing I was on the right track, absolutely knowing I was on the right track, but I only had it right to a certain point. And so you have to fail miserably in order to kick your butt, to go back to where you're sure of and get rid of the thing that you think you're sure of. And so you just keep doing that because I'm not, I'm not a brainiac. So.
Well, here's a question that I just want to see if all of us are on the same page. I would love for all, but this is where I don't think we can assume. I would like everybody in the room to answer this as well. Do you consider boots on the ground A, so put A in the chat or answer A, every time you go to your search location, or B, if you go for an entire week and you go to your search location 10 times, is that, or let's say you go for 5 days, you go 5 times, is that considered 1 boots on the ground or 5? So if you go for 5 days, is that considered 1, let's say A, or is that considered 5? You went 5 different days. A or B?
I'd say every
location. Go ahead, Davio.
It's like, is it times out there or number of trips? Trips to the location.
Every time you go out there, you gain information. So that's not 1 trip 5 times. That's 5 times. And I mean, you went out there, you went back to the hotel, you thought about it, then you went back out. So that's 5. So I mean, it's, unless you're sleeping there, it's 5 trips if you went there. You know what I mean? Every time.
Well,
you go
okay,
there.
so I went to Yellowstone, let's just say on a Monday morning. I spent a half day, then I drove back to a lunch location, and I came back half day. And then I did that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You could consider that 10. You could consider that 5. You could consider that 1. Which one would you consider it?
You tell me.
If you leave and analyze and go back, going back is the second time. Because you thought about your previous visit.
I just find it fascinating that we're all saying different things, and the chat room is saying A's and B's. So when I say I've been boots on the ground 5 times, I have been out for a week's time 5 different times. I have been to, when I went to Nesper, I went 10 times. I went to Ojo Caliente 10 times. I went to Lake Huron 5 times. So maybe I've been a lot more than but in one day I could be twice, right? Because I could go, then go and get lunch, and then come back. So you consider that twice? What do you think, Oki?
It's a touchy subject.
One? I'm just wondering, when we say number of boots on the ground, when someone says they've been 50 times, that might really only be 5 trips then. I'm just trying to define it. I actually don't care which one. I just think we should all be on the same page.
I'm going to go with each trip is 1 time.
This is Dave. I would say each trip from your house and back to your house is 1 trip. If you remain in the area for a week and you solve something and then you solve another thing, let's say you go with 80% and there's something that you can't quite figure out. You can stay in that same area and help yourself to figure it out, and then go back, to the specific area. You're still away from your house. You're still in the same area, but you went and figured something out that you couldn't see while you were at your computer.
I like
when
that.
he says that a physical presence is required, Google Earth will not help you. There is something that you can figure out at the very end if you have done some research on ground. You can do that all on the last trip, but it's probably never going to happen that it's 1 boots on the ground. It's technically possible, but it's not probable, like you said.
Yeah, first boots on the ground, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
To me, first boots on the ground is a recon mission and take a ton of photos.
Oh, I cannot tell you how important that is, because
come back, go through your photos with a fine-tooth comb, and then second boots on the ground, that's a separate mission.
Yeah. Well, so here's a question. The reason I ask. Outcast Searcher is asking, why does it matter? It really doesn't. How many times would you go to your search location before you hang your hat and say no more? 100, 200, 500? We have somebody coming on the marathon. 700 searches in.
You can't find it in 5 trips to 1 location that you've narrowed down. You ain't gonna find it.
Okay.
I have something to say about that.
Dave. Over to you.
Okay. So, like I said, I've been on the same one for 3 years, but I never. Well, I can't say never. Sometimes it takes me a couple times before I say, okay, that's. I need to go back to the one right before this. I have done this 3 or 4 times on one particular clue before I said I have to go back to the drawing board for the previous clue and figure out what I did wrong. But for the most part, I'm doing one clue, one more recent clue, one further clue each time. So when you say if you go more than 5 times or 10 times, yes, it was impetuous and expensive, but I am furthering my thing every single time, and I'm not going 15 times to the same exact problem. I am solving that problem and then moving forward. So I feel like I have to have that
That's what I was
caveat.
saying. If you have it narrowed down and to a certain location, and you're going more than 5 times to
the same thing over and over again.
I don't even know how big of a location. But if you have it narrowed down and you're going more than 5 times, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, and money.
In my opinion.
And your marriage.
Yeah, and your livelihood and your job and your bills and your home and your I mean, I think and that's I just I'm more kind of just thinking of general concepts. And again, if you're not down to a 12 by 12 inch or a very specific area, I know a few people that are down to a general spot, meaning they are down to a forest and they're going tree to tree. And that could take years and years. And they think that's why Forrest has said it's going to take years. I do not think that. And they've gone out hundreds of times, literally going tree to tree. And I just think they're missing something. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I'm just going to say that's not something I would do, is go out 300 times and start with this tree and then go all the way to the last tree. When there's 10,000 trees, I just think it's more specific. It's more clever, in my opinion.
It's brilliant.
You figured out you go to a spot. So I thought in saying that you'd have to figure out all of the clues to a very small location that's based on some kind of visual recognition, triangulation or some stuff off of 2 points.
Okay, so let's open it up. I've asked a ton of questions. What questions do you have, or what would you want to say? How would you want to leave this panel and say, think about this before you go? Okie, what do you have to say?
Y'all need to think about this before you go.
Okay.
I think this is one of the reasons why the chest hasn't been found yet. Is everybody is just assuming, begin it with warm water salt is the first clue. Everybody is just assuming that if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to see the last clue. Everybody is correct. But everybody is just assuming that everything in between are the rest of the clues.
Yes.
And I do believe Forrest quoted at one time and said that his uncertain knowledge, nobody has told him the clues in order.
I hate that quote. What does that mean to you, Okie? Tell me that, because that one makes my mind explode almost as much as Candy.
Yeah, mine too.
I think about it over and over, and I do believe you have to follow the clues in consecutive order, providing that you know what the clues are. What are the exact clues? Like, I personally think, why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to see? I think that's a clue. I think he's telling you something big there. I think he's telling you.
Okay, I'd like to throw this out at you to help me, because I think you're onto something, but I need help. So when he says Terry Scant means you have the chest, get the hell out of there. How, if we're consecutive, leave my trove for all to seek, which is the next stanza, how are we still solving it? We got it. We're getting the hell out of there with the treasure.
No, I'm just saying, like, the unit where warm water is hauled, this is just a big example here. The unit where warm water is hauled is the first clue. For all we know, the end is ever drawing nigh could be the second clue. Why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to see could be the third clue. Fourth clue could be heavy loads and water high. Fifth clue could be if you've been brave and in the wood. Anyway.
Let me put it a little different, because I think this is what you're saying, but let me understand it if it is. You're saying that they do have to be contiguous, meaning touching, but that doesn't mean they have to be contiguous in the poem. He has never said in the poem. So just because Warm Water's Hall doesn't mean Canyon next. Now, whatever the next one is needs to touch, but that might be listen good. You might need to jump around in the poem because he's never said specifically, I'm going to have to go look it up later, but he's never said specifically contiguous and consecutive are actually in the poem.
Correct.
Okay. I totally got what you said. I need to absorb it because my mind, between you and Candy.
I only think that because he said, to his uncertain knowledge, nobody, has anybody ever said, hey, Forrest, is this clue 1, is this clue 2, is this clue 3, all the way down to the blaze? I don't know if anybody's ever asked him that.
No.
His uncertain knowledge, no one has told him.
Now, here's something that he has done for me. He has said, he asked me, what's your WWWH? And I told him it was Nez Perce Trail. It was the first Nez Perce battle. And then he said, well, where's your canyon? And I said, my canyon is the second one. He goes, how far is that? And I said, it's about 50 miles. And he's like, huh. But I said contiguous. And I said, yeah, I took it contiguous because it's along the trail. And he said, oh. He didn't confirm or deny. He just said, oh. Him saying to me, WWWH, what is your canyon? Logically showed me that that's at least 1 and 2, but that doesn't mean 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But yeah, go ahead, Dahlia.
That means he was playing with you?
No.
It doesn't mean that's a fact. It doesn't mean that taking into Canyon Down is number 2 by any means. Here's the question, which is relevant to everybody: is title the last one? I give you title to the road. Is that the last clue?
No way.
No.
The last one is Blaze. Look quickly down.
Well, that's an assumption that you look down and you see it. But I mean,
of course. All of us are only assuming. I'll put at the end of every sentence that I have so I don't have to say it, in my opinion. I'm not a rooster. I'm just saying, no, I think because he said, but Terry Scant with Marvel Gaze, that means you have it. So it's right before that. You're looking quickly down at the Blaze. That's when you got it.
Yeah, so I think that's implied on all of us.
Terry is a geometry
opinion part. That's just implied for all of us.
Y'all want to know something? Y'all want to hear something funny?
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's always our opinion.
Yes, Okie.
Yeah, I can't tell you where I'm at, but I found this to be kind of strange. There is a business, an actual business, that's about 200 yards away from this small area that I'm looking in. You know what the address is to that business?
999blaze.com, Blaze Street.
No,
I would die.
The address is 3079. I just thought that was weird. Yuri was born.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, I promise you.
I had that. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
I don't have that.
can I, okay, for the slow one in the room, I mean, Forrest says I need a crutch. Why does that matter?
I had to try and liven this up a little bit.
I need a crutch. I need a crutch. Why is 3079 important?
1930 Yuri was born, and 79 was the age that he
Okay. I like it. Okay. I'm totally see, I need a little help. I mean, I'm a little slow. I'm fine with that.
Hey, Kpro.
Yes, Dave.
I may drift out. If I do, I'll try to drift back in a little later. I'm currently mobile, so I may lose signal.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, cool. Okay, T Brown, I wasn't the only one. He said why 3079. Okay, so and that's the cool part about this. That's where I think it's going to be so clever. It's going to be like at 1427, and you look at page 14, and you look at page 27. It's going to be something that's obvious but not obvious. It's going to be my biggest disappointment in this chase is not going to be if I don't find it. It's going to be if it just is an announcement. Forrest emails me because he's going to put it up on Thor that just says it's found. And the solve never comes out. I am going to be so disappointed. I want to hear I want to hear the cleverness and the story. I don't even know if I would want to because of all the hate and craziness on the search community. But I want to hear it. I want to hear it. It'll be so fun. That would be the greatest video to do. Here's the solve.
I'll tell it to you.
Well,
Okie, I love it.
Once I find this thing in under 6 months, I have 1 month to go. Once I find it, I'll let you know.
Nice. Well, Okie, I have a funny story. So I grew up in Southern California, but both of my parents were from Kansas. And my dad would always say to me when I would come in without shoes on or whatever, he would go, "You're an Okie, but you're from Southern California. Quit being an Okie." And so that was his zing to me. Exactly. He would say to me, like, I never have shoes on. He would always say to me, like, quit being an Okie. And I'm like, I think that's like an enduring term. And so I started listening to country and he's like, you're not an Okie, you're from Southern California. I'm like, I'm an Okie because it's in my blood. And so that was our big, like, we actually joked
Country
around.
folk, raise your hand.
Hey, Kpro.
I'm not originally
right.
an Okie.
Yeah. So.
Originally, I'm an Archie.
Oh,
Hey, bro.
okay.
I just jumped the state line for the wife's Indian benefits.
Oh, you mean Arkansas? I don't know. That's how my dad called it, is Arkansas. Okay.
Christy,
Yes.
where in Southern California did you reside?
I was in Orange County. That was where I grew up, born and raised. But
Why were we not friends?
exactly. Well, because when I lived there, you were born. So we probably have what?
89.
Okay, I was born in 76.
When?
76. I know, not 1876.
1970.
Now you're LA, I'm Orange County.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do have to say, the minute my mom passed, I didn't fit well in California, so I moved to my farm in Kansas and had a great time. My dad still has his 263 acres, and we're not harvesting. I'm not harvesting again. I am too old, and he's going to be 80 years old this year. This is going to be the first year he does not harvest because we finally convinced him with his neck surgery he cannot. So it's interesting. So, okay, what else do we want to say before?
Cornfields of Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. That's what.
Cornfields, hayfields, baling hay, detasseling corn, shoveling hog shit, all of it.
Oh, I've never done that. See, this was the California in me. I still saw the animals as pets. So like the chickens would come up and I would hand feed them and they would sit in. Yeah, it was yeah. So anyway.
I have chickens.
Nice.
Okay, so before we go too off the beaten path, what else do we want to, like, the huge hands? Because if you're here at 1:22 a.m. and there's 130 of you watching, I mean, where are the big clues for tonight? What are the takeaways before the marathon? Because that's where we're going to leave it on the table. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, somebody give the new guy a question. Come on, bring it.
Okay,
Let's
how
go.
do you interpret Fenn when he talks about a butterfly is really a flutterby?
Ooh, that's a good question that I have not thought about.
Flutterby, Harlan, right? That's the first person that said that. He's the one that coined the change. He says, why is it called a butterfly? Should we call it a flutterby? It was one of his things he would say on stage, because he played with words. So I saw that as a reference back to George Carlin, Robin Williams, things like that.
Oh yeah.
But here's a question that
Wait, before we go, Candy, what is your answer?
So my interpretation of that is your point of view. He's saying, especially with mirrors, he talks about mirrors, he talks about flutterbys versus butterfly. It's, a different point of view, seeing something from an opposite end. So I view it as, again, starting from the bottom up with the poem to predetermine what you're supposed to be looking for, how you're supposed to understand it, and then starting at the beginning of the poem from first clue, begin or warm resolve, all the way to the end where it blazes. So that is how I interpret how he's saying mirrors, how he's saying flutterby. It's just a different point of view and just seeing it from an opposite perspective.
You know, there was a scrapbook in his bathroom where he took a picture of himself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. He's like this in front of the mirror. Yep. Right in the skylight right above him.
Yep.
Yep. See, and I think it means
So
85-15. He's going to,
scrapbook
like, not get it right exactly.
shows himself. What was that? Sorry.
I think it's 85-15. I think he means, I mean, it's kind of the same, but don't worry about the details. I mean, he's P.T. Barnum. He's going to, if you've ever sat with him, I know Candy has, I don't know how many others have. When you sit with him, he said to me it was amazing when he tells a story and he says it was raining that day and he gives the day. And people go and research in the almanac whether it was actually raining. He was like, I was just doing it for effect.
When I sat with him, he was literally, I didn't
My interpretation of that
about the poem or myself. He sat there and told me, by the way, the earthquake completely changed the entire geographical features of the Firehole River. And he was telling me about how ever since the earthquake happened, the Firehole River has warmed to such extremes that the freaking brown trout could not survive the water. And that is why they had to go upstream to the cooler tributaries of the creeks. That's what he told me. And I was just like, okay, that's nice, blah, blah. I'm awkward. Hey, nice to meet you. But he just brought shit up like that. And the Hebgen Lake, he talked about Hebgen Lake.
Okay, did he not know about your area at all? Is that what you're saying? He didn't know about your area at all, and then he just brought up earthquake?
Oh, no, he knew all about myself.
Exactly. He by accident threw some stuff at you that made your head spin, that did it to me, tipping your toe in it, all the crap he gave me that made my head's 200-footer.
No, that's the thing, though. He didn't just say stuff to make my head spin, because at the time when
you believe it, right?
Okay, that's cool. That's a nice story. Awesome. I got to meet you. I am, like, flabbergasted by your stories. And it wasn't until a year later, I started connecting things with the warm waters and trout not being able to breathe in warm water, stuff like that. But it's just like he was telling stories, and it's just like, okay, why would you talk about that? Why'd you say that? Like, we'll never know. But I think it's cool because he just brought up random things, and I went to his house, and I did not try and tell him, this is myself. You must give me your utmost attention because I want to know.
Oh, he had to ask me. I was on year 3 of knowing him, and he's like, I was sitting there with another searcher, and he's like, so tell me where you're searching? And it was like, because we didn't talk about that stuff. Exactly what you're saying. But I think he has a story for every area and location, and he's brilliant. He's brilliant, I say.
He never asked me where my self was. He never asked me what my warm waters was. I even emailed him like 4 times where I was like, why have you never asked me where my warm waters are? Or why have you never asked me questions like you do other people? But he never responds. So it's like when he does respond, and they're very, very comical. They're like my absolute favorite emails ever. Like he says one where it's like, if people ever talk bad about him, he goes out and waters his plants. And I'm just like, I love it. It's so funny. But
well, he'll do the same thing. He said, I'm watching the ants go up the tree. So, I mean, like, he does exactly what you're saying. And he's like, if I can ignore it, because I was like, oh, somebody said this and this about you and me. And he's like, if I can go out with Willie and he jumps in the pond, you should be able to, like, I don't know if you know, he has a white dog and I have a black dog, and they're basically twins. And so we joke about, like, he's like, if I take Willie out, you just, you take Lucky out, and da-da-da. And so it's the same thing. Yeah. I don't know.
So if he's like P.T. Barnum and you know marketing, then what would you see a good conclusion to do with the person who does this? Because you probably have the most you could actually say on that. That is a lot you know about right there, is marketing, sales, and...
So in my opinion, watch Monday's show. I am going to go over. I actually believe the marketing of the first pictures, the story, what's in the chest is actually going to be worth more if you market it right it will be worth more than the actual treasure chest, in my opinion, and I'm going to walk through why.
The story is what you're saying.
Well, there's the story of the finder, and then he says there's a story that I think is an epic story. I think that story and the searcher story, whichever one, and it's going to be dependent on how much you want out there. And there's ways to become anonymous pen writing or ghost writers. I'm going to go over all that. I've actually made a formal presentation for Monday.
Okay, but
obviously, if we've been on YouTube live like this, it's impossible.
No,
to be
it's
anonymous.
possible. It is possible. It is possible. Because no one knows. Like, where are you searching? If you went out tomorrow and found it.
I mean, from Iowa. What do I know?
Right, but if you find it tomorrow and then you come on the marathon. No, I mean, if you come on the marathon on Saturday after you found it and it's like, hey guys, here's where I think it is, and you find it in Colorado and you say how you're in Wyoming, there are definite ways to make sure, in my opinion, and I'm going to go over them, up to safety deposit box, how you notify Forrest without even getting your fingerprints on the letter. I've gone through it all. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but it is my way of making sure. You don't want to send him pictures. The pictures will actually give metadata. There's some things to know, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth. And they're not even going to be worth that. Not even worth 2 cents.
Hold on,
No,
Chris.
I get it. I'm just clowning.
What is
I'm
in
just joking around. It's all good.
What is in the cup? So the other night,
What's that?
Cynthia had me get some really good tequila. And they're, I'm sorry. The answer is it's Sprite.
Tequila and Sprite? That doesn't actually sound bad.
There's a little bit.
Try that.
There's a little bit of goodness, and every little bit.
All I have
It's
to
after
say
midnight.
Is when we
There
finally
you go,
lift this
man. There you
quarantine
go.
and we get to go back to Vegas, I'm totally hanging out with you and Mike. I promise you.
Oh, I want to say I did a thing up on Thor
I'm a
on.
lot more fun than 1 a.m. right now. I guarantee you that.
I've done a
I used to be fun.
I've done a posting
Hey,
up
we're
on.
all fun.
I did a posting up on Thor, and the posting was, "What is your favorite search story?" One was with my brother when I was boots on the ground. The other one was Fremont Street with Amy, Cynthia, Jana, Faith. There was Chippendales involved. It was probably the most crazy, but not really crazy because I'm kind of a prude. But it was the most epic, fun night, and it had 30 of my search friends. So if you don't come to World Series of Fenn, you're missing out. It's Vegas. I mean,
I'm going to be there next year.
it's gonna be awesome. It's
I
gonna be
will
awesome.
be there next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Christy,
Yes, Dave. Or okay.
are you gonna still have World Series of Finn and all that after the chase is over?
Mike and I have talked about that. I think, yeah. We're going to probably splinter, or there's going to be a lot that go away. But I have to tell you, I have found, so the first World Series of Fenn, well, the first one was at Jamie Jordan, the Operation Jamie Jordan, and there was 16 people. The second one, there was 34. This time it was about 60. There was additional buy-ins of about 86. We think we'll be at 100 next year. I believe it'll probably taper off.
I think it should continue.
I think we have to
If somebody
continue.
does happen to find it,
I don't think it'll get bigger, but I think it will. There's a network of people like Cynthia Meacham. I will know for the rest of my life. I don't care what
it's a
happens.
friendship.
It absolutely. She is a
And I met her online. Okay, she's awesome.
yeah. Well, and of course, like Mike Cal. I mean, there's so many people that, and every year I meet more people. I just talked with a reporter yesterday. He's like, "How many searchers have you met?" And I think I'm up to about 400 people in my contacts that I've either met or had significant conversations with. That is a network of people. And again, like Cynthia Meacham, Toby Eunice, you guys, I know we all joke about Search Dad. He has come through for me on a personal side that many people don't know, and Mike and others. So I think it has to happen. And it's a place where, I mean, people just need to, we're treasure hunters. That's so weird to say.
To me, that would be a place just to let loose.
Yeah.
Where you talk shit, do what we got to do, what we want to do, and just be cool with everybody.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I knew I found a searcher a place because they didn't have more than $10 a night to spend, and I found them a place. And then I knew of a person that had a multi-million-dollar income that was giving back and gave prizes and this and that, and everywhere in between. And we sat at a bar, and we were all like people because we were all searching for this treasure chest, whatever it was for us. It was like we were all equal, and it was so much fun because I heard parts of solves that I would have never heard before. And it was just so fun to hear different perspectives of socioeconomic, different age. I think the youngest was 21. It was his 21st birthday. And then we had an 80-year-old, and then everywhere in between. Socioeconomic.
I didn't get to lay on the blanket.
It's here. Mike has said I have to bring it every year. I mean, those of you that haven't seen it, I'm going to show it. And many searchers did.
Do it.
Yeah, there's my mic. If you don't have confidence like this, I don't know who you are.
That's probably the best blanket I've ever seen.
The funny part is, they're like, when did you take that picture? He didn't take this picture with me. This was with someone else, and he gave it to me.
10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yes. So there he is. Okay, there you go.
I had that exact same blanket.
Oh, well, no, but and then he's like, here's what my guy does, and he's like, but here in the last visit, he's like, and here's the socks. That's from the Jamie Jordan draw. It's like, how can you not love this guy? Like, if I wish I had confidence like him. He's just freaking. He said I can laugh at myself, and I love him at every little bit of him. He's awesome. So
you guys are cute because the world
dig it.
I don't see so many straight people like y'all, so it's really freaking hilarious, and I truly enjoy it out of that. I'll tell you what.
I don't see straight people like you all.
Nobody. It's all cash. Everybody has a gun. So it's the same world we're living in. There's a social distancing that goes in with that whole world of marijuana.
Davio, I want to meet you.
I do have to say that was the disappointment. There was many searchers that said, they wanted to meet you. So you are the legend.
I want to meet all of y'all.
Well, see, I like what you said before, man. You see, it's the idea of being able to hear somebody's idea and be okay. The concept
I have a quote.
is extraordinarily important because that idea has really been kind of, just gone. I mean, we don't have mentors anymore. I mean, I would listen to my auto shop guy. He taught me how to take apart. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain amount of listening to someone, and then they come back, and you kind of listen. You find a middle ground. This is more like talking about paintings. It's talking about art. It's an unknown. Once it's found, I think it's going to be a liberating thing. You get to have your own idea and see how it fits into the big puzzle of it all. You know what I mean? In other words, if it keeps going on, the conversation you're talking about is extraordinarily important.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's interesting because the research, the person that's doing this research talks about what is it that is inspiring people to search for this, whether you're a billionaire, whether you're Donald Trump's physician, to someone that, like, anywhere in between. Why are so many inspired? And I gave my answer. I said, here's my thoughts. Everyone has a dream. I don't care if you think you have everything. If you have millions, you don't have everything. To if you have nothing, and you might have great love and relationships and everything in between. It was a great story I had with, and talked to him like it was supposed to be 10 minutes and ended up being over an hour. And I'm like, I got AGK, I gotta go. And it was just, I mean, and it was, why do you sit in AGK?
Miserable.
Yep.
And poor people can be the happiest people on the planet.
Yeah. And I think vision has sucked the imagination out of people, and this brings up the conversation. I mean, this is how many, a picture paints 1,000 words, and nobody is speaking these words. You know what I mean? The majority of people in here don't read a lot. There's a lot of dyslexic people, a lot of ADHD people. A lot of people think it's going to be easy, and they're chasing the.
I'm ADHD.
So, so I mean, there's a certain amount of it, and it takes you all the other crap. So it becomes a conversation, and I think the conversation is extraordinarily valuable. and that's the thing you want to chase is like, you know, what words are you using to describe where you're getting stuff to get you to the next thing? I mean, I think there's a lot of parts, therefore a lot of conversation. That's
well,
my
here's
thinking.
here's the thing for me, and this is just my opinion. If you are a PhD engineer, and I'm not one, I'm a lower tier than that, I don't believe you can find this with your mind, in my opinion. If you are an only imaginative, let's say, lower socioeconomic, you're not going to find that. It's going to take both, and that doesn't mean partner. It's going to take whoever it is to be outside their box. There is no box for this person. And Forrest is going to put, because what is Forrest? He's a good old boy that can sit with the high-end people and sell them hundreds of thousands of dollars of art because he is someone that can do both. And I don't think most people can do both. Candy, what?
You gotta look at Sassy's message right now.
Who's?
Sassy.
Where's Sassy? Hold on. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, and Flip's. My God, what's happening with the room? This room is fun.
This is from Forrest. He has said.
Where's Sassy's? Or Sassafras or Sassy?
He said, think outside the box, but get in the box. And that's a conundrum.
Okay, I have an answer to that, but we have an old friend that wants to Zoom. So hold on a second. I got to get Sean Dotson in here. Oops.
I'm just talking about Sassafras.
Sassafras. Okay, I'm not seeing Sassy. So hold on. Oh,
Hold on.
ready. Hold on a second. So say that again. Whoever just said that.
Okay, Sassafras said, if candy were candy, what kind of candy would she be?
Oh.
So that's like 4 candies in one. Drink up.
I think candy's a peppermint.
Cute.
I just want y'all to drink instead of Sassafras.
I think you're a gummy bear because you can be a bunch of different flavors, and it's my favorite.
I'm actually a Hershey because my real last name's Hershey. So, the
Nice.
irony. My real name's
No,
Candy.
I don't
and
think
I'm a
you're
Hershey
creamy.
Candy.
I don't think you're creamy. I think you're hard at the core, but you got a sweet taste.
Oh,
I
God.
think she's a Hershey with a
And that is nothing sexual. I promise.
Hershey with
I think Candy is a lot more confident than what she thinks she is.
I think Candy's confident in her
She's
solve.
hard at the
She's not
core.
confident in other things,
But
which
she's
is
got a sweet
mind-blowing. She's nutty. Oh, I think she's fun.
Look
Okay.
at my face. Look at my face. I ain't lying.
Rock candy, baby.
And
She,
Tony, you're all serious, but you're not serious. You're not even serious.
Motley Crue's original name was gonna be Rock Candy.
bada boom.
Bada boom.
Oh, you're a caramel because you get her stuck on you. I don't
Flip
know.
side. Dude, the flip side.
Wow.
Flip, I just sent him an invitation. He might be coming on. You never know. So,
Dude, that's
Coming on.
That kid. Because I really liked what he did. It was talking. But I thought that was pretty slick.
okay, so Sean Herman's asking a question. What do you think was the thing Douglas thought was something new in your interviews?
Douglas.
I'm going to be really honest with you. I believe Douglas was doing marketing. I believe Douglas was like, because they met beforehand. I think he was going to do like, oh, there's something here. I don't believe there was anything. If there was anything of hint value, I don't believe it's there. In my opinion, I believe it is more about I just think he's excited about, he might have heard something new, but not such a hint that it was going to break things loose. Hello, Sean.
Hey, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Everybody got any questions for me? I'm a new guy. Bring them on. Bring it on.
Well, are you new? When did you start, Tony?
October 14th.
Okay. Not October 13th, not
I
October
had less
15th.
than 6 months.
How many times have you read the book?
All the way
All the way. All the way. Okay. And do you have all the books, or do you have one of the books? Do you have 13 of the books?
I got first two.
First two. Okay. Okay.
Yep. I'm missing one for a while.
Oh, we need the third one. I need the third
Oh,
one.
you're still on the phone?
Dave, we're hearing some background noise. I don't know if it's wind or what.
That's me closing my
Is
door.
somebody still on the phone?
I think that's Dave. Maybe not. Yeah, no, I can see it. It's his side's catching something. Dave, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you should mute until you talk, but it's there's some sort of wind. I don't know if you're outside or what the dealio is.
I'm gonna mute it. Thanks.
Okay, cool. And I don't know who had, maybe Sean, do you have your yeah, okay.
In a second.
Okay, we haven't seen Sean in a while. For those of you that don't know, Sean is from The Flip Side, super, super popular channel on talking all things Forrest Fenn, had lots of panels, that sort of thing. We haven't seen him in a while, so glad he wanted to jump in. He's done lots of the midnight Finsomnias or something like that, so I could see why he's up right now, because he's over on that coast. It's a little late for some of us, but time does not matter when you're quarantined. I'm out of quarantine as of 24 hours ago, but I don't think we're really out of it for how long? What, Candy?
Come save me. I'm in quarantine. Like, I can't get out of this shit.
Well, no, but were you able to leave your home? You're able to, like, go... Oh. So have you been exposed or something? Or is LA in a different... Have they gone to a different category, or...
Davio's in California, right?
California.
No,
It's just
he's in Colorado now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you moved to Colorado. So Candy's in California.
So what's your...
Thanks, John.
You can't
Hi.
leave? You can't leave your home?
Only to go to the
All
grocery
of California is on lockdown, aren't they, Candy?
Well, no, everybody's on lockdown, but when you...
said that the only way we could leave is to go to the bank or to the grocery store or to
Yeah.
get, like, pick up food. That's it.
And I find that so ironic, and I know we don't want to get in politics here, but I find it so ironic that it was Biden that was kind of crucifying, Trump a little bit on xenophobia, yet it's the most liberal states in our country right now that have really kind of gone to this 24-hour lockdown, have they not?
Yeah, well, if you look at it, New York is 500 cases of the coronavirus,
Yep.
and then I believe Florida was like 300, or Florida was the second one, and then California, are like 300 cases.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to prevent what's going on with Italy, because Italy apparently...
But what we've said is this is our place to get away from the craziness of coronavirus. And I literally, meaning on lockdown, I wasn't able to leave my home because there was an exposure issue with someone that what they thought was exposed that I was exposed to. So I went on lockdown. That made issues for Mike since I'd been around it. But Friday, negative test. I was able to get to the grocery store, which I was not able to for many days. So, okay, so let's talk all things Forrest Fenn. So, Sean, we haven't seen you in a while. What have you figured something new out with the poem? Is there anything going on? What say you, friend?
Ask me a question.
Yeah.
I have figured out that I have absolutely no confirmation, like no changes.
No theories, no ideas.
No. We're always adapting. I've had more than 3 boots on the ground already this year, but but you're always adapting. You're always testing out theories, and I think that I'm fortunate to live in one of the search states, obviously being New Mexico.
I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, so those of you that don't live within search states obviously don't have that opportunity to do that as often, whether that be finances, time, family constraints, everything else to do that. I just am fortunate to live, closer to the search region than most people. So yeah, I like to get out there and test out theories, and it's always going out there and trying to, okay, what's this new thought process, to try and figure things out. So
Now, I
It's
did
always
notice
adapting and changing.
there was a post on Harry's that I noticed today, and I so wanted to chime in, but I hadn't been able to do the research.
You need to chime in.
Well, I will once I do the research, because you asked for the research. You have been an advocate of 9 sentences, 9 clues. And you said, hey, God, it almost made me think you haven't jumped to that, but you're up for listening to other things. You've said that's your philosophy, but give some hard evidence otherwise, and let's discuss. And I love that. So are you reconsidering that? Because of course, for saying where warm water salt, or begin it where warm water salt is the first clue. That's, sure, I think, the most compelling evidence. I'm sure there's going to be others. Harry's crew is so smart.
There's plenty of compelling evidence against that theory. I mean, right, absolutely. And I'm not. I don't block that out just because of my confirmation bias. I love to challenge it, because if you don't challenge your own thought process, you know, you're going to live within a like-minded bubble. And I think that we, again, I'm going to go to politics here, but I think that we do that in our own political, you know, sphere of influences. You know, we surround ourselves with like-minded people that think politically one way, and we don't ever open ourselves up to, you know, ideas that contradict our own values and beliefs, and we never learn anything.
Well,
you know,
so that's my question. Are you doing...
I'm completely open. Absolutely.
Okay, I was going to say, are you up for exploring it? Or are you more like, I might not be right and I'm ready to jump ship on it? Or is it more, I still think I'm right, but I want to hear some other thoughts? And that's what we do on the forums, is throw out. So I didn't know kind of which way you were kind of thinking on that.
Yeah. No, I'm... there's never been any definitive proof from Forrest Fenn either way. There's never been proof, or Forrest Fenn has never come out and said, you know, the 9 clues are not the 9 senses. And nor has he said that the 9 clues only, exist between, you know, begin and cease. He's never definitively said that either way. And I think anybody that will come out and say, you're wrong, he's definitively said it's this, I think they may be stretching that. Now, there's plenty of evidence for people to make their interpretations of his words to then confirm their pre-existing belief that it could be the 9 clues or the 9 sentences, or those people that, you know, feel that it is between begin and cease. There's plenty of evidence out there to support either conclusion. Yeah. But there's no definitive proof. And I would love for Forrest Fenn to come out and say, Sean, you're completely wrong. It's this. Because then wouldn't we all gain something from that? Right.
Well, I think it's exactly what Candy was saying earlier, is the difference between a rooster and a confident person. A confident person says, and I think you do this a lot, I believe this, but I don't know 100% for sure. A rooster says, you're wrong, and it's 9 sentences. Exactly. And
I deal with that on a daily basis with a couple people.
Only a couple.
And I'm in the same boat as you.
And it's entertaining. I mean, the thing is that how I deal with those people is I say, look, you could be right. I could be completely wrong. But there's no way for me to prove I'm right any more than there's any way for you to prove I'm wrong. Right. If you can prove me wrong, by all means, please do. And that's kind of what that whole thread was about. Please give me all the evidence that is contrary to my belief that the 9 sentences could be the 9 clues. And I'm open to it.
But I do have to say, you are much like my first search partner. I believe might be my first search partner, which was a family member. I believe, and I might be wrong here, I believe you have a photographic memory. I believe that you can absolutely recite, or I will say my first search partner did, where I can call him and say, tell me where this quote is, and he can say it's on page 32 of TTOTC, second paragraph down. I believe you have the ability to, off the cuff, be able to recite quotes on almost anything. Do you believe, and I might be wrong about the photographic evidence, but you do have an ability to recite things that I have only seen a couple other people do. Do you believe that there is going to be evidence that takes you away from 9 sentences, 9 clues?
I would love for there to be some evidence. Sure. I would love, and here's something I did like a year and a half ago. I gave the community what I thought was maybe one of the biggest evidences against the 9 clues, 9 theories. And not many people picked up on this. And the words that come just before the poem says, "So I wrote a poem containing 9 clues that, if followed precisely, will lead to the end of my rainbow and the treasure." Okay? The key word in that whole line being containing, right? At least in my opinion, one of the key words in that. So I could say that this glass right here contains beer, right? But is it full of beer? No, it's only containing beer. So the poem, while it contains 9 clues, it may not consist wholly or completely of the 9 clues. The 9 clues theoretically could just be within begin and cease. Just like this glass is not completely full of beer, but it is containing beer, right?
Okay. I like that.
I just want to let you know that I'm one of those weirdos that thinks that the first clue is actually it and begin it where warm was salt, and then I think the second clue is the where. And then I also think that you're supposed to read the poem from the bottom up to predetermine the glaze, and then you go from the poem from the top down to understand the directions of where to go to the chest.
Yeah. Well, and that, Candy, that could totally coincide with Forrest Fenn saying in the Lure interview that no one had given him the clues in the right order, right? I mean, we look at the poem, and because he says, you know, in the Lorena Mills interview from 2011 that, you know, hey, there's 9 clues in my poem and they're in consecutive order, you know, or he says in the Moby Dickens interview that, you know, they're contiguous. And people think that he's talking about the clues are contiguous. But if you go back and you listen to that audio, and it's like at the 47-minute mark, you know, the question that came from the person in the audience was, did you have the 9 clues before you hid the treasure, or did the 9 clues come after the treasure? And then he said they're contiguous.
What's the definition
So
of contiguous?
Great question. And I don't know your name.
Touching.
Yeah.
If I interrupt, I apologize.
No. Interrupt. Please do. Absolutely. That's a great question. What is the definition of contiguous? And I don't have it up here, but I think it's
Continuous, isn't it? It's like it
means they touch each other.
Yeah.
Touching.
Well, okay. Here's a
None
good.
of them are an island.
I remember
Well,
what
but here's
I looked up is it's touching or near.
Or bordering. Yeah, touching. Yeah.
exactly.
Bordering.
Okay.
Well,
Well-
here's a good example of that. You know, we talk about the 48 contiguous states, right? What are the 2 states that are not
Good
contiguous?
Hawaii.
Alaska, Hawaii.
There you go, Alaska and Hawaii.
Well,
they're
and-
not touching, they're not bordering, they're not near or whatever to each other in whatever sense you want to call near.
Right, but what you're saying is right about the person
Well, they
with
are
the
touching.
with the definition though. When I say something like my WWWH is the first Battle of Nez Perce, and my second one is the second Battle of Nez Perce. It's 50 miles away, but there is a trail that connects them. Sure. And Forrest rolls his eye. He didn't confirm or deny, but he was like, "Where is it?" And I felt, this is my interpretation, it needed to be right there. So does the definition get that precise that you have to say right there? No, but I think Forrest's definition, in my opinion, and I might be wrong, is more, it's exact than, I think the trail, I took the definition of contiguous, as long as it was along the trail, it didn't matter. I went through all 9 battles of Nez Perce. I do not now.
And your definition of contiguous for you in that interpretation of the trail, you know, of those battles of the Nez Perce made sense to you.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And it's kind of no different, and I don't want to beat this dead horse here, but it's no different than in our different definitions of the word first. You know, I mean, first, you know, in the literal sense can be in a numerical order, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But it can also mean in a figurative sense, as in foremost, primary, key, or fundamental. It could be, I mean, and that's why I think he's so adamant about saying that the first clue is begin at where warm waters fall, because we need to first figure out where warm waters halt. And kind of going back to what Candy was saying, is that she thinks that it is important, and, you know, in that whole line of begin it where. You know, we first must figure out the where before we can understand everything else. So it's just the different interpretations of these words, and I think Forrest Fenn kind of hit and touched on that with your interview with him for your documentary, when you asked him, is there a lead searcher in the chase? What was his first immediate reaction to you in that?
I think the word was ludicrous.
No. What, and maybe it was, but in the context and what we saw in your video, what was his immediate response to you when you said, Forrest Fenn, there's a lot of talk in the community about a lead searcher. Is there a lead searcher in the community?
Okay, I
I
remember
remember something he said.
Okay, what did he say?
He said something, by the way, I'm the one with the 2 kids picture.
Okay.
He said that as far as he's concerned, there is no lead searcher.
Right.
The person who finds it is the lead searcher or whatever.
Right.
But what was the very, okay, let me get to the point. The very first thing he says was, define a lead searcher.
Yes.
And what did you say?
The person that has been closest to the treasure. I don't remember. I don't remember. Because I've gotten a lot of heat about it. I remember it is the person.
You did.
I think it was I think what I said was the person that has gotten closest to the treasure chest, and many people thought I should have said solve the poem. Or
yeah, I'm sure that there's people who are going to.
There's semantics either way.
Pick you apart on that.
Yeah, either way.
What I think I recall you saying was
is the person who is closest to the solution.
Yeah.
I don't think I said that though.
Not anything in the book. I haven't heard anything about.
No, but it's exactly the right point. Sean has seen like the definition, just like when I said, "Are there hints throughout your book?" And he's like, "Stop, no." In my book, not throughout. It was definitions of words, and I think that's what you're getting at, Sean, right?
Yeah, you have to have the proper context of a word.
Sure. Well, and he's been very adamant about definitions of words. So he was very quick, and I was so shocked when I was watching your video, and immediately after you said, is there a lead searcher out? Immediately, like within seconds, he says, define lead searcher. It's almost like you prompted him with the questions before you ever did. And I'm not saying that's what you did, but it's like he was almost waiting for that question. And
I think he knew.
Define what a lead searcher is, because it's very important. And your response was, and if I recall this correctly, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, you had said a searcher who is closest to the treasure.
I think you're right. I think it's something similar to that is how I answered.
I could be completely wrong, but I think that was what
you have the photographic memory. I do not.
I don't think I have a photographic memory, but it's.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead, Candy. The room has stopped.
Go ahead, Candy.
Okay, so if you heard Fenn quote, the clues go in chronological order, how would you define that, or how would you perceive that?
Well, I don't think he's ever said.
Oh, we heard it today. We heard it today.
That's great. No, okay. He said in consecutive,
Not consecutive, in chronological.
He said consecutive. He said contiguous, and now he said chronological.
He said continuous order as well.
Yes, and I asked. I asked on an earlier tonight show that Candy did. I said, "Give me the actual." And I do have to say that wasn't a secret recording. That was actually a recording that Dale has up on his site.
Don't take the camera with you. We don't want to see that.
No. Candy, I will say that wasn't an inappropriate secret recording. That was actually
no.
That was actually a reporter.
It's the same quote where Fenn is seen where he says the final clue. When you get to the final clue, look quickly down because that is where the chest is, or where the chest should be.
But I think it's a good catch. He has now said chronological, which is different. And so, Sean, I would love you to answer like Candy just asked. I think she's caught something that not a lot of us had. That quote's been out for a couple of months. Dale's had it on his site.
Chronological. I'd have to look up the definition, but chronological. If there theoretically is 9 clues, he's talking about chronological as in numbered order. There is a very specific order to the clues. What that order is, we don't know. And I've talked a lot about this, and Chrissy, I know you and Mike have the. Did I lose you guys?
No, you're here.
Have the belief that the 9 clues. Hang on, I've lost everything here. I can't see anymore.
Chronological defines as sequence of time.
I might be having computer issues.
So you have frozen up, but your audio has not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to drop out, and I'll try and jump back in.
But I think
we'll hit on that.
Okay.
And Sean, I'm so sorry.
And I would like to
I'll be
hear.
back. It's my computer. It's not you guys.
I would like to hear from the rest of the room. The chronological thing is huge because is it chronological with time of his life? And I think that's what Candy believes. Or is it chronological? You have to go here first, you have to go here second, you have to go here third. Davio, what say you?
Davio, I think Davio ran away.
No, he's right there. Robert Redford is right there.
Davio, where are you?
You know what chronological means. You know, we immediately think top to bottom on the page, or is it bottom to top? What is chronological? You know, contiguous, I believe, is probably more relevant. In other words,
I agree.
Together, you know, not so much of the other thing as much as the parts you figure out are the contiguous part. Perhaps the poem is chronological, but doesn't that could be chronological his life, chronological through the book. I mean,
okay, you're almost saying like nothing burger. It's as much as contiguous and consecutive, but
consecutive is, you know, it will follow one after the other touching. It's connected to each other. That's consecutive.
Consecutive, chronological, contiguous,
time sequence.
They all pretty much mean the same thing.
I think they're kind of synonymous.
They do. I thought when he talks chronological, I thought it was referring to, you know, the lack of chapter numbers. So he's kind of bringing attention, you know, because chronological, that's what would be a chapter, right? I mean, isn't that kind of...
No, Ben said that the clues go in chronological order.
Cheesecake. Okay, we have the
want
cheesecake.
some of that.
We have cheesecake at this point. I don't know if that's a hint, a clue, a word. I don't know if it's you have drinks first, then you have cheesecakes. Yeah, there you go. So Sean, what were you saying? Like, I find the word chronological interesting enough to say it's different than contiguous and consecutive. So it makes me pause because I didn't believe it existed. And I was asked by someone, Galores, who asked me, Mike Galore. And I searched everywhere. Cynthia searched everywhere. And then I finally said, Candy, where is it? And she provided it. And it's up on Dale's site, so it's legitimate. It's a different word, and it has a different meaning. So what do you think, Sean?
And I want to point out, chronological, that quote about chronological is actually followed by Fenn saying it comes to catalyst. Okay? He's got an entire interview where he's talking about the blaze, he's talking about the clues going in chronological order, and then it arrives at a catalyst.
Are we talking
That's
about the Playboy interview then?
I'm not sure. It's just on YouTube.
The Playboy interview is what got me to my thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's a great. That is, I think, one of the best interviews out there. I mean, I almost prefer that over the Moby Dickens and Collected Rook ones.
Yeah.
But then Lorene Mills, that one's a really good interview too.
What's that, Candy?
The Lorene Mills interview, that's a really good one too.
Well, they're so early. That's what I love about. Now, one of my favorite, and I know we're getting away from Candy's subject here a little bit, but is the one from 2011 with Douglas Preston. I don't know if you've heard that one.
Oh, the
Douglas
November
Preston,
2019 Douglas Preston, the November 2019 one?
That's a good one too, but I'm talking about the 2011 one. And the reason why I think that one is so good is it's so fresh in his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, this, a year from when he actually released The Thrill of the Chase.
And the best video I think out there, many people ask me, what's the one that you should look at as a news searcher, is Toby's video or AGK that puts out what if Forrest passed the day after the book release of TTOTC. That is all he was expecting to put out. That's all the time and thought he put into thinking of everything. He has put a lot out since then, like Elevations, Rockies, States, all of that. But really that kind of hits home of that's all he wanted out at the beginning. I don't think he could have...
With all these fuss.
Yes. Yeah, but I do have to say, Sean, I don't know if you're a poem... I mean, I know you're a poem purist, or you call yourself a poem purist, but like my past search partner, Follow Me Down, literally sent the book back because he's like, my mind will be changed if I read this. And I find that the most I will say the pure poem purist doesn't even want to put it in his mind, which I think you compartmentalize, or you say that you're going to compartmentalize, but I find it fascinating the people that won't even look at the book because they know Forrest is going to mind mess with them, so they won't even look at these things, which I just find fascinating, that mind, because I don't. Yes, Dave.
Dave, yeah. Okay, so the biggest mistakes I ever made were when I was looking at the book. I believe the book is necessary for the finder, not for everyone else who hasn't gotten to near the end yet. I think everything you need to get near the end or to the end, almost to the end, is in the poem. The book, if you read the book before that time, I think it allows way too many rabbit holes. And
that's an interesting thought, Dave. No, that's interesting.
Well, and I think that's the poem purist thoughts, or I'll say, I'm not going to speak for Sean, but the person that is able to even absorb it all and look at it all, but always goes back to the poem purist. I just find it fascinating. The next level of person that says, and I won't even look at a scrapbook. I will not look at any of the 3 memoirs. I won't look at anything additional. And now the only exception is the cheat sheet when it comes to elevations and ruling out 2 of the states from initial and then ruling out Canada. That is the exception. But I just talked to that person and went, gosh, I'm the opposite. I'm Kitchen Sink Christy. And we had to change it to Kevin. But Kitchen Sink Kevin, I want to hear everything because I think everything is a hint or a possibility of a hint. So I'm the one extreme. I had a search partner, and that's what I think it's going to take. Imagination, literal, poem purist, kitchen sink. It's going to take that kind of, I don't know.
Sure. But so, I think,
go ahead, man.
No, I think it comes down to, again, your definition of a poem purist. And we cannot go to a book, just like we can't go to a book and look up a lead searcher. We can't go to the dictionary and look up a poem purist. There is no definitive answer.
I don't know if you were watching earlier. I asked the question, if I go for a week to Yellowstone and I go to my search location for 5 different days, is that 5 boots on the ground or 1 boots on the ground for the week? And everybody's answer was different. So, but Candy, what do you say?
Okay, so I don't even agree with either one of those options, Jamie, because I feel like when you talk about boots on the ground, it's talking about us figuring out where our solve will take us, exploring our solve. So we start at where warm waters halt, and then we explore that and we break it down. We don't just go somewhere and we search. We're starting somewhere, we're seeing it from a different point of view, and then we're connecting the dots and then following it from there. That's what I think a real boots on the ground really is.
So I've told you, I arrived on Monday morning. I went to Ojo Caliente. I searched for the morning, the afternoon. I went back for lunch, Monday through Friday. By Friday, I was like, I'm done. And I sat and I watched the waterfall, but my search partner continued to go around. How many boots on the grounds, just with that information, would you say? 1 to, I would think, 10 at the most, or somewhere in between?
I would have to ask you. I would have to say, how did you begin at Ojo Caliente? And when you started Ojo Caliente,
right,
where did it take you? Did you find a new where warm waters halt? Every time you found a new where warm waters halt, you were adding another boots on ground to yourself.
So when I say something like, I have 5 boots on the grounds, I believe it's because I've had 5 trips. But you're saying it could be a lot more than that because there's multiple days and...
No, not multiple days, multiple interpretations. Every time you find a new interpretation of where warm waters halt, that is your boots on the ground.
Well, not warm waters halt, but the end interpretations.
To explore your solve area.
It's really the blaze. It's really up to the blaze. It's okay. I've experienced when I went to Yellowstone. I'm not going to give up after day 1, even though I spent 8 hours in my one exact location. Then I go home and I crash, or I go back to the hotel and I crash, and I think, okay, let me back up 1 or 2. And see if there's a little bit, and I start spawning out. I kind of go in a grid, if you will, and look at different things on the map and things. So you're saying that's a different. So I have more boots on the ground than I ever realized, is what I'm saying.
Why does the number of boots on the ground even matter? Why does that?
It got 300.
I don't.
Why does it?
I don't.
Okie Chest Chaser, what do you think? Does it matter number of boots on the ground? Does it matter? I mean,
It's not going to help you. Well, it's irrelevant how many times you go, but personally, if I leave my house and go somewhere and I'm away for a week and come back home,
That's one.
I went boots on the ground once, according to me.
okay,
But I don't think it matters one way or the other.
I would agree with that.
Well, and someone asked earlier, it was Outcast asked earlier, does it matter? It doesn't, as much as it's just getting a common definition of if I've been 100 times to my solve or I've been 10 times to my solve. I think that just to get the same nomenclature, I think that's the only reason. I don't think it's more,
Okay, then we're not the authorities on the chase or number of boots on the ground, but I would think that it's very, very simply to say if you leave your home and you go out and you return back home, that's one boots on the ground. No matter how many times nights that you spend there at your location, you go out. I mean, just for simplistic sake, I would call that one boots.
See, and Tony and
Dave
Okie
agrees.
agree with you, but half of the room and Candy do not agree with. So if I can be,
Again, we can't agree on what the 9 clues are, let alone how many. I mean, that's so much fun on this. I mean, who cares?
yeah, but when
No,
someone
one of
says
us is
they've been
wrong
100, when
Yeah,
someone says they've
you're
been
right. Thank
100
you.
times boots on the ground, I think it would be interesting to understand if you have the same common understanding of what that means. Does it
well-
matter really for a solve? No. It's just more trying to get a common, like somebody asked me, what is boots on the ground to you? Is it final location or first solve? I don't even think we
it's
have.
just point of view and interpretation.
I
Yeah.
feel sorry for the guy who lives at the home of Brown, and every time he walks out of his house, he's got a boots on the ground. That guy's got like 5,000
Somebody
boots
in
on the
his
ground
yard.
over 10 years. Like, what does that guy got to do, or girl got to do? I mean, again, one who's closest to the treasure. I mean, if the treasure's physically in Montana, then whoever lives in Montana, by your definition, Christy, would be the person who's closest to the treasure chest.
No, I don't even know which one. I just know that I would be okay with getting some common definitions. That's the only part and that's the only reason I threw it out as an example. Just like, what is boots on the ground? Is it getting to the final location or what? Like when someone says to me, I have been boots on the ground 100 times in my location, which means I've taken 100 trips over the last 5 years, I think is very different than I went for 1 month and I went in the morning and the afternoon for 1 month. I just think those are different. Does it matter enough? We're not talking about something that's catastrophically different like a WWWH or Blaze.
Well,
it's just interesting.
Complete. Go ahead. Sorry, whoever that was.
I think it was Dave.
That's Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I'm with the question of
Oh, shit, we got
why
two
does
people
this
on the
matter?
phone.
I mean, even if we all have our own opinions, and we're not talking about actual Finnisms, we're talking about something. We might as well be talking about baseball and what matters in baseball. Does it matter what defines the boots on the ground? It's never been a part of the solution, so why does it matter?
It
Your
doesn't matter enough.
opinions of the
Again, it
city
doesn't matter enough to be concerned
Aren't
with.
they-
Just
aren't
like,
they relevant?
well, do we care whether someone's a poem purist or not? I mean,
feel
it
like
doesn't.
boots on the ground
It
is
doesn't
literally
put
I
you
don't know
any
if I'm not
closer.
sure.
Driving to the first clue. That is fucking boots on the ground.
Yeah, well, for me, it's just as much as a poem purist or not. Who cares? But just getting some general knowledge of what that means, that was the only reason for it. Like, not everything has to be so into, okay, let's dive into the solve. It was just a general question. It wasn't that serious.
Warm water halt is the first clue. We not agreed that the last clue is I give you title. So the difference between warm water and the last are the clues, right? I mean, we all have ideas, but if we could at least agree on the beginning and the end, it's a little
Well,
easier.
Davio, no, I'm gonna let Sean talk, but Sean has said there's a lot of people that say 9 sentences, 9 clues. So the first stanza is the first clue. The second stanza is where warm, et cetera, et cetera. And the last clue is if you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. So there's some that believe 9 sentences, 9 clues. There's some that believe where warm water salt, and then the last is wise and found the blaze, or look quickly down.
The way I look at it is, if the 9 sentences are the 9 clues, then as we read the poem, then in that sense, the first clue that we read would be the first stanza. That doesn't mean it's the first clue that we need to figure out. That also doesn't mean that, you know, the last sentence of the poem, which is, you know, if you are brave and, or excuse me, now I'm going to totally get this wrong. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. That would be the last sentence in the poem. There's a lot of people that, if you look at that chronologically or continuously, those are the 9 sentences in the poem. Are those the 9 clues? I can't prove that. But if they are, that doesn't mean that, you know, if you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold is theoretically the last clue. Because in the wood may be information you need to understand exactly where the blaze and where the treasure chest is. But you gotta find the blaze. And if the blaze, as Forrest Fenn is saying, once you find the blaze, look quickly down because there's a treasure, that may theoretically be the last clue because then you have the treasure. But that doesn't mean that the 9th sentence in the poem is not a clue. It could still be information that is vitally important for somebody who's in the right area to understand that they need to be in the wood, and that's where the blaze and the treasure chest are. Now, I don't know because I don't have the treasure chest. I don't have the intelligence and knowledge to know that quite yet because I don't have the treasure chest. But I'm saying that could still be important. Just like the first stanza could be important in you understanding, you know, what riches new and old are, or what, you know, my secret where is, or with my treasures bold could be. Again, if you don't know where he went alone in there, again, if you don't know where he went alone in there, you can't figure out. You've got to understand what the first clue is telling you. Once you understand the first clue and know the correct starting point, then you might understand what in there is. Is in there in the book? Is it somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe? Is it in the wood? Is it in the canyon? Is it below the home of Brown? We don't know. But until you understand that starting point, then you will then understand what in there is, what in the canyon.
Well, and Sean, one of the...
It has everything to do with in the
This guy's going to find it. This guy's going to find it.
Awesome. I hope somebody finds it and we can have a party.
I think, personally, I think you got a good head on your shoulders, man. You're asking all the right questions.
My wife says my head looks pretty ugly sometimes, brother, but so I don't know.
I just agreed with everything you just said.
I love it. Somebody disagrees. I
said I agree.
I think you said disagree. Oh.
Christy?
Yes.
Asking questions, for sure. You can never ask too many.
Well, okay, let me ask another one. So I think I know the answer, but it came out of the room. One of the questions that came out of AGK tonight was, what does the 5th stanza mean with, why is it I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? With the assumption of, if you're blaze and look quickly down, you've now got it, because Forrest has said, Terry Scant, get the hell out of there with the treasure chest. What does that stanza mean to you? I think I know your answer with 9 sentences, but what do you think, Sean?
Do you really want to hear my answer?
I think I know it, but since it was asked by the room,
you probably do. You probably heard it before. I've talked about it.
I believe I know it. So
okay, when that stanza, in my opinion, is a form of a figure of speech.
Right.
It's called a hypophora, and a hypophora is when a speaker or a writer poses a question and then he immediately answers it. So that stanza, the 5th stanza says. The 5th stanza. So why is it I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? That's a question mark. He ends it the only question mark in the whole entire poem, and then he immediately answers
it. In that question.
You said go. You think it's a key word?
Trove.
Trove. Yeah, and he says that in that Playboy interview. He says that he uses the word trove in the poem, and he even
trove actually defines as to seek. You guys.
Cool. I haven't heard that definition, but I'm sure you're probably right, Candy.
Trove to me is a collection.
Yeah, it can be
trove
a collection,
is where the treasure is hidden.
It could be. But trove, as he said, is a very important word, and I think he chose that. And trove, in some of the, in some other definitions, is meaning items that have been deliberately hidden or concealed. And he has deliberately hidden or concealed the treasure. And I think he purposely chose that word. And we can get into the fact that it could be about legalities and everything else.
But his treasures are bold.
Yes. Well,
Bold
it all depends if you think treasures is a noun or a verb. It really gets down to that. Because there is two different definitions.
I think treasures are a noun.
And you could be absolutely right. I'm not saying you're right or wrong.
Well, let me ask you this, Sean.
And to me, bold.
We're getting Coley off of the hypophora question.
Well, no, but I think I guess this is where I'm going to transition myself to. I always wondered when I would consider myself a vet. Now that I'm, I think, 6 years in, this is where I consider myself a vet because all the stuff you're saying, I've heard, and I think it is new to especially a lot of the searchers. Has there been something in the last 6 months, 9 months, off season, since last year, that you have seen, that you have gone, I have not seen that interpretation that's making me think differently, either with Forrest or a searcher or a forum? I know you're still on lots of the different areas that you've gone, okay, wait a minute, this is something to at least take a pause and look at differently.
I still pay pretty close attention to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Out in the search community and keeping abreast of what's going on. My family dynamics have not provided me with the opportunities to be able to communicate in this media, but again, I think what Forrest Fenn has said is it is fresh eyes that is what is needed to help solve this. So yeah, I love hearing new ideas and fresh ideas from people because I think we do get complacent in our own confirmation bias.
Right, but I know that someone came up with try the wheel and they're like, hey, try the wheel. And I was like, I appreciate that they came up with that, but that's just an example.
My example was try the poem.
Yeah, well, but that WWWH
is
that Homa Brown is brown trout. That this, I mean, there's a lot of I will say cliche, but there's a lot of people that'll say to me, here is a brand new thought, and it's brand new to them, but it's not brand new. And there's been a few things that have made me pause and go, that's something I haven't heard before, like Candy's interpretation of start backwards, blaze, etc. Is there anything that you have seen that's new as in unique? Not new, because I do think I think you're exactly right when people say I'm so behind. No, you're not. You're right along with us. But do you think there's something unique that you've seen that really kind of made you pause?
Okay. Nothing unique, but rehashing old ideas that go back to some of the times before you and I and Davio and maybe Oki and Candy and Mr. Cheesecake over here and Dave haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
Because they just started out in the chase, So rehashing some of those ideas, going back to Dale Neitzel's website and going back to, the 9 Clues thread back in 2013 and going back through that stuff. So it's not necessarily new ideas because I don't think there has been really in the last, 5 years, any new fresh ideas. I think these are just, we're going back and looking at this stuff again. No, Candy, one of the ideas that you brought up is similar to an idea that Mike Davis brought up years ago, which is the circular motion of the poem itself. If you take the poem and you cut it out and you tape it from top to bottom together, it's a circle. It's revolving on itself where the first clue is actually the last clue and vice versa. It just revolves around itself. I'm not saying that's exactly what you're saying, Candy, but very similar to what you're saying. It's kind of a little...
No, actually, I'm breaking down that I found a secret message in the book title of the Thrill of the Chase that gives you the starting point to where you're supposed to understand what the it is in the poem, which is the blaze, which is the fire hole. And the fire hole actually is the first thing you need to know where Warm Waters Halt, which is the Homer Brown. And then when it gets down to the very last stanza of the poem, that's when he reveals the blaze was the river, which was the Warm Waters and where they halt. That's where I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I think
that
that's
could be a completely fresh idea that I've never heard before.
Yeah. Well, and I think also anagrams are interesting, but specific anagrams are always evolving. And every time Forrest
don't go
says
there. No, I feel stupid.
well, every time Forrest says something new, we interpret it differently too. When he says something, first he said, I don't know which one he said first, contiguous, then he said consecutive, and now he said chronological. These three have, I mean, now with the third, does that change the first two? It absolutely does. So we're evolving, if you will, but I just didn't know. There's been one or two things that I just kind of go, huh? But a lot of people will say the same things, and it's like, I'll actually point them, like, especially when they get into the codes, I'll point them to Astri, that huge thread, and I'll say, hey, if you're a code person, don't try to crack every code. Here is one that has thousands of responses that you can see what's already been tried. You can still try it, but at least you know that it's already out there. And that's the difference, I think, coming in year 1 versus year 10. It's just different. I think both are valid. I think it's actually going to take a new person to come in, but I think new thinking is going to be more important than whether you're on year 1. That's why I appreciate Cynthia so much. I don't care if you're year 1 or year 10. Are you willing to get up and change your entire thought process? And I think that's more important than how many years have you been in the Jays.
Well, and I think searchers coming into this have an advantage.
I love that, Kpro. I love that you said that.
Somebody that can come in here with an unbiased opinion and can look at this thing, you know, maybe the person that can solve this. I mean, we're all individual humans, and everybody says, you know, it takes logic and common sense. Well, common sense is not common because we're all individuals. And none of us have any quote unquote common sense other than sight, smell, you know, touch, and taste. That's the only common senses that we all have amongst each other. There is no common sense or logic that we all share. So it's that whole common sense thing is a total fallacy. It's just using the best logic and trying to simplify and rule out all assumptions that you can. I mean, trying to stick with Occam's razor is what I try and do. And that's why I like to consider myself a poem purist, somebody that has a belief and faith that, as Forrest Fenn says, all the information I need to find the treasure is contained within the poem. So why do I keep moving outside of that box to try and find those answers? And that's okay. I'm not saying it's.
Well, let's discuss that. I tend to. I try to go where. I try to go where Sean just said. I'd like Candy, you have something to say, and then Tony, you have something to say. You guys weigh in. I got to check on a couple of things, just make sure my dogs are okay, and then
go pee.
I gotta go to the restroom. But I wasn't gonna say it. I'm a girl. Don't say that stuff.
Okay, say it.
I'm a girl. No. Okay, I'll leave you with the blanket as I go. So.
Oh yeah, we want to see Mike. Come on, show us Mike. Oh. Yes.
My God.
No,
okay,
just don't go too low. We don't want to see. We just want to see the upper.
Oh, you know you do. Don't even pretend.
I gotta quit.
When someone said that all you need is the poem, Fenn said yes because the poem is in the book. Just want to let you guys know that.
And I wholeheartedly believe that the book is the vessel to provide us with the poem. It's no okay. Let's quote one of our favorite treasure movies. Right. If you're anything like me, I love National Treasure.
Yeah.
The fact that they put the map on the back of the Independence, it was like it's quite clever because a document of that importance would ensure the map's survival. And putting the poem in the book would ensure the poem's, or quote unquote, the map's survival, would it not?
But also, you forget to actually add that because they put the map on the Declaration of Independence, it was hidden in plain sight. The starting point was in plain sight.
The poem.
Just like Forrest Fenn's book title, The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir.
Yeah.
Hidden in plain sight. Every time you pick up that book, you look at the book title. And what did I find in the book title? An anagram that actually tells you where to begin, where War Mortals halt, what War Mortals halt is, and where it ends, or where it halts.
You think he would have provided a shortcut like that?
What?
Do you think he would have provided us with a shortcut like that?
Oh, hell yeah. He's got an ego, which every brilliant man has an ego. And Fenn, in my personal opinion, likes to hide the answers in freaking plain sight. The book title
In plain
is The Fishing Hole.
sight.
The chapter in Too Far to Walk about river bathing is best. I think that chapter is the freaking story where he's talking about when and where he hid the chest itself. It's all hidden in plain sight. And you guys, I've tried 1,000 times over to get away from my firehole solve. I've looked into the Tewa Connection, New Mexico. I've looked into Ore Canyon in Colorado. I've been to Soldier Stone, Colorado. I looked into Montana for Hepkin Lake. Everywhere. But every time I try and get away from firehole, it comes right back. So I'm just saying, Fenn likes to hide stuff hidden in plain sight because the most obvious place is the most brilliant answer, but no one's ever going to look for it. Just like the
I
firehole.
100% agree with you, Candy.
People laugh at you.
100%.
They think you are, rookie when it comes to being in the chase. They think that Yellowstone, there's no way he did Yellowstone. But that
I
is
got
the
5
proof
months
of
in
it,
this chase.
because it's the last place someone would look.
I got 5 months in this chase, and I think I have it solved. Am I right? No. Am I wrong? No.
You're not.
It's all-
You're not
it-
wrong, and
it-
you're
it-
not right at the same time. And that's like Schrodinger's cat.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't know if the cat
It
is
all
alive or dead.
depends on your imagination.
Exactly.
Ah, shit. I had a train, and it just got derailed.
Was cheesecake in the way?
No, I have that effect. I came
And that
back.
cheesecake. I should have got cherry instead of strawberry. You know what I mean?
I'm going to get another beer. I will be right back. Hold on.
Damn it.
Well, so what do you think? Forrest has said this is, and we're up at 2:30, so that this will be our last topic for tonight. What is the one thing we're all missing?
The big
Treasure
picture.
chest.
The treasure
one thing
chest.
we're missing is it. What is it we're all missing?
What is it?
Irony. It.
Okay,
I was
I
going
like
to say
that.
this for the marathon, but I do have other things to talk about. Look at the map. The map with the poem, the map of all 4 states. Look at Montana.
Okay.
The west side of Montana, the map does not match the actual border of Montana. To me, there was a scrapbook about Forrest shower tiles. I think he calls it shower tiles. I don't know. In his shower, the map does not match the border, the actual border of Montana. Look at the big picture.
Okay, so
Christy,
someone.
I have a theory.
Okay, so real quick before we move over to Dave, iPhone Guy is what they're calling you since that's the name on your. Is iPhone Guy searching in Montana? Does that mean you're searching in Montana, Tony?
No, I'm in New Mexico.
Oh, well, there you have it. Hey, there's a little surprise for you. Go ahead,
Let
Dave.
me know when you're down here. We'll have some cheesecake and fireball together.
Yeah, you in New Mexico?
Hey, have you? Yeah.
He
have
lives
you
in
ever
New Mexico.
Mixed rum chata with fireball?
Yes.
Yeah. Cinnamon toast crunch.
Good,
Oh, it's so good.
We'll have rum shot and a fireball.
Okay, Candy, that's what kind of candy you are.
Oh boy, Dave, what say you?
Forrest said, look at the big picture. So I looked at, I came across his scrapbook about his shower. And the things that he said in that scrapbook about the tiles in his shower, I saw every one of them. Every one. He talked about a girl on a Bronco. I think there was an alien.
I will say the most compelling solves that I have heard, and I've probably heard a couple hundred solves of different searchers, the most referenced scrapbook is definitely that one for some really, really interesting reasons.
Yeah.
It's
I have
interesting.
looked at the border of Montana on an actual map, and I've looked at the border of Montana on the map with the poem. To me, it looks like a silhouette of forest.
Tony, did you know the first stanza of the poem are actually anagrams specifically using all words, nothing left over, to find the hidden chest, or find the chest hidden in southwest Montana, Madison River, a creek near Lions Bridge, a place where I-E-Y-E, now heal. Every single letter in the first stanza is used to create that message. I did count that because Fenn said don't miss
it could very well be in Montana for that simple reason. The border. Biddy. You know, he went to borders. That could be the solve. But my solve is in New Mexico. I'm not right. I'm not wrong.
But you can't be right and wrong.
No,
Right.
I think he's saying he thinks he's right, but he's not going to say anyone else is
I don't
wrong.
have the check.
I think you're saying I'm not going to be a rooster. I think I'm right, but I don't think anyone else is absolutely wrong. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I respect we have to coin a new term, like confidence searcher, but not a rooster, and that's a respectful search. I don't know what the term is. I've had too many of these. I just filled out.
Let's call them the because I can.
Ah! Yeah. Yeah.
Why
Okay.
do you do what you do?
Okie, what do you
Because
think?
you can.
What are we all missing?
That'll be revealed on the marathon.
It was there.
But Okie, let's ask you.
Okie test.
Oh, if anyone's coming to my door right now, I'm meeting them with something different than a smile there, Sean. It's 2:40 a.m.
Going up.
Yeah, no, I'm a woman. I can't go with just brawn. Let's just say. Go ahead, Okie. What do you think?
I'm 5'11", 240
I
pounds.
don't know at the moment.
I'll go with Braun.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure, Okie, you had your time and weighing in, but you can sit and absorb too. We do all of that here. We have lots of people.
Bring it on, Okie.
You know, he's saying give him a second. He's listening. But anytime you want to chime in, you chime in. What do you think, Davio? What are we all missing?
Well, the metaphors. There are so many metaphors, and the metaphors lead you to parts, and the parts then take you to, because, you know, I definitely think warm water halts is not a temperature. It is a metaphor for cool water, which is a song, which is a movie, which takes you down a big road, because he has this quote about Clark Gable.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So
That's all I know.
wanted to show everybody, you know, we say my children don't anything about Clark Gable, and I thought
Clark Gable.
He doesn't really talk about any other movie stars. He doesn't really give names to the dogs that are in there. A pet. He doesn't tell us his favorite song. What 16-year-old wouldn't? What 13-year-old wouldn't? This is the big band era. You know, he was born in 1930. I mean, 1942. Good Lord, the man has seen all the music, the Beatles, everything. So how come that's not totally reflected? I feel that it's in there, but it's in there. Take it down in the valley, so on top of spaghetti. All these
I
kids.
have something to say.
Mario, I swear you were the reason why I have that song stuck in my head every day.
Forrest was a rock and roller.
Boom. So
But here's the thing. Is it crazy or is it imagination? Is it like some people are saying, oh, are you guys all drunk? No, there's like some good thoughts of imagination, and then there's some very serious thoughts. We're at the time of year that we need to throw out some different thoughts and not be worried about looking silly or stupid, or say, what do you think about this? And I'm not worried about it. And Davio's like the poster child of, you know what? For every person that discounts Davio, there's someone that goes, One day when he finds it, he's going to laugh at all of you. It's like by.
I love Davio. I love Davio's mind.
Yeah.
Christy.
I love it.
I want to hug Davio.
I want to hug. We'll sandwich hug Davio one day, Sean.
We're gonna have a Davio sandwich.
Davio sandwich hug. I love it. Yeah. So.
And you're in Colorado, so I might be closer to giving you the Davio sandwich than anybody.
Moved here so I would be within only 6 hours of my spot. No, and so now
you're about 6 hours within any spot.
Wait, hold on, Sean. What search state are you in?
I live in New Mexico.
But
Yeah.
what search state?
Yeah.
Oh,
I will
Candy.
give you my answer that I give everybody. What is that, Christy?
I am in the state of delusion. Confusion. Confusion.
Confusion, not delusion. Although a lot of people say I'm delusional, so who knows?
Confusion. Wait, what? What guy on the phone named Dave?
Dave down at the bottom is on the phone, I think.
Me. Can I talk real quick?
Yes.
Okay, here's what I want to say. Similes are like metaphors, but metaphors aren't like similes.
All right.
Boom.
I have a comeback to that. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, but they ain't mine.
Okay. Okay. There you go.
Ooh,
There you have
I'll
it.
let around for a little bit.
There you have it. There
I'm
it
just trying
is.
to be funny. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to be funny. That's all.
That's some country right there, boy. That's some country.
Hey.
Well-
Dad would always tell me, Sean, you're funny, but looks aren't everything.
That's
Well, and
right.
I
That's
think the
right.
takeaway, especially when we've now done, I think over the last week, at least 6 people on probably 4 or 5 panels. We have the marathon coming up. I think the takeaway is anyone that discounts anyone is wrong, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
That is the
Absolutely.
only thing that I can say is wrong
Saying
because
that, then you're discounting everybody else. I mean,
no,
you
but
just can't discount anybody.
exactly that's my point.
Discounting anyone, she's
Right.
questioning their logic and their imagination.
No,
She's
but discounting
questioning
anyone's thoughts, there's no way, even if I have a rock solid solve, which I don't have, but even if I did, I should be able to say I'm confident, but Sean, you're not wrong. Davio, you're not wrong. And no one else is wrong. And so this is the time where we're sitting at home and we can't go out.
No, you're not wrong.
I thank you. And I just want to open the
She
minds.
doesn't have a beer, so she is wrong.
I can be wrong. I'm wrong all the time, and that's the cool part is how many times have I said, "Oh, I am wrong. Gosh, that's great." And I am willing to move. I don't think I jump as much as people think, but I'm, on my 5th solve or 6th, I don't know, 5, 6, about 1 a year. And I think that's what this next couple of months needs to be, is where do we question ourselves, push ourselves, question what we already think we know, and ask the community enough, because here's the biggest thing that I know or I feel. No one is looking to steal a solve. They're already so grounded in their own solve. They'll give you feedback, but they ain't moving. They're not going. And that's what I loved about. I gave my Nesper solve to Cynthia and Follow Me Down, and they both told me how wrong I was and how their search locations were right. But they gave me some really good feedback. I think so many people are worried about people stealing their solves that they don't realize this community can be really helpful to at least poke holes to get you to the exact spot, because none of us are there yet. So, okay, parting thoughts. Yes, Candy,
Chrissy,
you're
I have
first.
to ask you.
Yes.
Okay, so I already know your Nesper solve. I'm Nesper solve.
It's so in the past, but yes.
Well, I'm gonna bring your butt back there because
No,
this
but it's
summer, when the
close.
stupid quarantine's lifted, can we please meet up and explore the Firehole River solve? Because we both have been there. We've both seen different interpretations of it. Can we please go as boots on the ground partners and explore it?
So here's what I'll say. I'm going to be making one trip, and I'm going to be going to Wyoming with Cynthia and Mike, and we are going to explore a solve. When we crash, either before or after, I will say, hey, if I'm already out that far, we will go and we will explore a West Yellowstone, whatever that looks like, solve, and Mike and Cynthia can go and shop, or if you want them there, we can go and explore a search location. I am all about, I've gone boots on the ground with a couple other people when we were out at different search locations and that sort of thing. So yes, but I will say my number one goal is to get to Wyoming, Cody area. That's where we're going to do the meetup, Cody area this summer. And Cynthia somehow finangled her way in, but it was supposed to be Mike and I, but now it's Mike and I and Cynthia. We'll see how that goes.
Trouble.
It's
The woman under will travel.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, so parting thoughts. Let's start with Davio, and then we'll circle. I'm erasing this tomorrow. I love you, Mike. I love you, Cynthia. But what happened here?
Leave it up.
Okay.
I don't care.
No, we'll leave it up. We're just having fun. But I do think it's funny how things have evolved. I love it. I think everybody's great. Oh, Gedelkin, they closed the museum. I know, but it's all going to reopen. In a month's time, it's all going to reopen.
Monthly should be good. So, Sean, seen any of my catch and release videos? Does that ring any bells?
Your catch and release videos, it does not. I'm sorry, Davio.
So what I do is I
Catch and release solves, catch and release
Oh,
ideas.
no, the videos. They're awesome.
No, I just kind of I'll speak in accents on the words that are people talking to me, but mostly I'll spit out a concept like page 15, like an idea, whatever. But then I throw it away. It never stays out into the world more than say 24 hours, 36 maybe, and then it's gone. And then people like because whatever. That's the idea, is that I don't want to keep good ideas hanging around out there in the air. You know what I mean?
Well, and I will say I've been in most of those. I won't say all of them. And it's really cool because the 20 people in the room, you can throw something out that will not be in the Fenn universe 24 hours later. So you can ask something that you want. And yeah, you have those 20 people, but it's just a different way of doing it. I love it, Davio.
After I see something like I've seen it get up to like maybe 300 views and it freaks me out and I throw it away. Because if you're in the room and you were there, it's kind of like we were at a coffee shop. We had a chat. We were all there. We talked about it, and just those few people walked away with those ideas. That sharing of, how many words does it take? The pain.
Well, you're paying homage to the people that are taking the time to listen to you at that moment.
Right.
And that those are the people that you want to chat with. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a schedule, and it's usually, I will say, Davio, I think your creativeness, even though we're in the middle of the night, it's like late breakfast is when I feel like you come on and you have a couple of thoughts as you're like going, why am I sitting here and not boots on the ground? And that's, I do have to say, I try.
Why the heck am I having coffee with Cowlazars at 7 p.m. in the night when I got to go to bed in 2 or 3 hours? Like I can't have coffee and then go to bed. Shit. Get Mike to do his shows in the morning where we can have morning breakfast with frickin' Mike. Like
damn work.
Mornings with
God.
Mike. That's what, Mike, where are you, Mike? If you're listening,
I'm not a morning guy.
Mornings with Mike.
I work till 2:30 in the morning.
Right. You strap them boots on in the morning before the birds come up, man.
If it wasn't for work and life, we would all be full-time treasure hunters. My God. Okay, Tony, you next. What parting thoughts? Davio, I love you. I just hug you. I'm gonna hug you one day. I'm gonna sandwich hug you with Sean one day.
You don't let me talk, woman.
Okay, go ahead, Tony. Before I mute you.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
That's it.
Anyway,
Sean, no.
My email is
Later, brother.
all lowercase, Tony Wood, RYI@gmail.com. Anybody is welcome to email me. We can talk. We can exchange ideas. We can do the damn thing.
We can do some cheesecake.
Some cheesecake,
Stay away from my cheesecake, Candy.
Candy can have my cheesecake. I'll give Candy
caramel cheesecake.
We're gonna have the best cheesecake at the next World Series of Fun.
You get a slice of cheesecake too.
I love it.
Some cheesecake.
Sorry, man.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. You can have a piece of cheesecake too.
All right, we need to let Okie talk. Apparently, Sled Nick
Okie.
is telling us we are ignoring
Oh.
Okie.
Sled Neck. There's a name I haven't seen in a while.
I
Hello.
know.
My goodness.
Oh yeah.
Good to see you.
Email me, anybody.
Come
I
back.
don't care. I'll answer you.
And I will say, Tony is going to be on the marathon, so we're excited
Yeah,
about that.
yeah,
So
I'll be there.
you'll see and hear
Hey,
some more
Kpro.
thoughts. Yes.
Kpro.
I might not have bells
On the marathon.
but I'll be there.
Okie chest person. I can't read it right now. Okie chest searcher. I will
Like
share
my
my
beard.
segment with him on Saturday, if need be.
Okay, you Candy wants to partner up with you on the marathon. We'll talk offline, but what say you? Not only to that, but just in general, what are your parting thoughts?
That's to me.
To you?
Candy, are you going on after this?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Fun! We're all going to meet over at our channel.
Because it's only 3 a.m.
Channel, go ahead. But okay, I'm trying to say Saturday, next Saturday for Kpro and Cowlazars marathon. I will share the talk time with you. If you want to come on while my slot's on for 3 o'clock, I will share that segment with you because I feel like we have both cohesive thoughts in regards to solve.
Okay, I'll see what I got going on. Let you know.
So I have your email. I'll make sure you see Candy see the draft agenda. You have not, so we'll get you. Well, we'll figure out if it works, and if it doesn't, we'll figure out a different time. So what do you say as parting thoughts to this? Over 100 people watching.
Really, 100 people?
100 of your closest friends.
This will take me about.
Yeah, my closest friend. You wouldn't want my closest friend. I can tell you that.
I think it would be a good cheesecake party there, Tony.
Oh yeah, man.
Johnny was
Okay, Okie is really good, but he needs his time. Go ahead, Okie.
I need to ask a couple of questions first.
Sure.
Candy, you listening, girl?
Yes.
Okay. Besides me, possibly Candy. Yeah, look at that. We need to clean that dick out. You got some earwax.
Candy, we love you.
Oh, Willie from the pond.
Oh my God, that was. Only Sean and I will probably remember that.
I'm shutting up now.
Come on, man, spill it.
No.
Alright. Spill it.
I've cotton in my ear, by the way. Cotton.
What'd you get caught in your ear?
Yeah, I've got an earache, so I've got cotton in my ear.
Okay, Okie, please continue.
Does anybody in here besides me and Candy, I don't know about the rest of y'all, that think it is a body of water in the poem? The word
No,
it.
it's around a body of water.
That's not what the word "it" means to me, but it could be, but I don't see it that way.
A body of water in my solve is involved.
Hey, Candy.
Well, if you're taking it in the canyon down, there ain't but about 3 things it can possibly be. Either a body of water, a road, or the ground. That you're
No,
just
begin
walking.
it where warm water salt. It could be begin your journey. There's a lot of interpretations I've seen. I've seen body of water, but I don't necessarily. I'm not committed to that.
God. I am being good tonight.
Okay,
You guys should-
okay. I think it could be water.
It could be. I'm not married to that. I'm not married, for God's sake. But I'm
You're not married
to
at
that.
all.
In my style, it is a body of water.
Yeah.
So, now, here's where imagination starts. I just want y'all to think about this. Take it in the canyon down. It's a body of water. We literally want you to take it. You need to be in a boat,
Yeah, he literally wants to take it.
but not in your imagination. You're in a boat. you're in a dinghy or whatever it is. So you're not literally doing it, but in your mind you are. Take it in the canyon down.
Okay. Okay. Tony?
Now, y'all need to just shut up so I can finish.
Yes, please, please, please.
Sorry.
Stop, everybody. Okay,
I
keep
believe
going.
you passed the blades along the way, and I'm fixing to tell you why. And when he says there'll be no paddle up your creek, that's one of the main reasons why I believe you use your imagination and you're taking a dinghy, a boat, or whatever down the creek, because then he says there'll be no paddle up your creek, which tells me that there was one at one time. There's one going down. Now there's not one coming back up. And therefore,
Agreed.
you are now turned around and you are coming back up the same way you went. And when you come back up, you're coming back up to the blade, which you have already passed. And I know that just totally went all over y'all's heads, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's all. Those
You're
are
a
all
good
fair
paper,
thoughts.
man. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I like it. Dave, to you?
Yeah.
Parting thoughts.
My final thought?
Yes.
My final thought. Let's see. My final thought. I've been trying to think of my final thought, and I'm coming up scrambling here. So this is what I'll say. Do you believe, does anyone, I guess, believe that scrapbooks are written about certain searchers, like the chili that he liked, or Rondo?
Marty.
Does anyone think that they're about certain people who are in the hunt?
No, but they are hints in general.
That they are hints?
But only
Anybody
certain
else?
ones. There's certain ones that are prevalent to my thoughts.
Wasn't one of the scrapbooks, "Hey Marty, diggin' gypsy, don't leave the chase"? How can that not be about diggin' gypsy Marty?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, but she
I
promised
don't know
me
about that
secrecy. I'm not allowed to say anything. But yes, I agree.
I mean,
I
think the scrapbooks are the talk of the chase. Like, here's my opinion. If you've been in the chase long enough, surprise words number 1. A polite email from Christy prompts me to say, if you're walking too long distances, you're walking too far. This is Christy. This was when she was a brand new newbie in the chase. That was absolutely an email that I sent him, and I posted on Chase Chat the next day. Now that is surprise words number 1, and he did surprise words, weekly words, random words, important words, crazy words. I mean, he had 16 different sets of words and scrapbooks. In my opinion, a lot of the scrapbooks words all had context in relation to what was happening in the chase at that time. And I'm going to give you an example. When he said simplify, there was a very, I believe, smart searcher, but one that gets off track very easily because of her mind. She was doing lemon juice and cutting her book up, and she was doing crazy things. She had Fenn's ear at the time, and she bragged every day about having Fenn's ear every day. And I remember her posting 100 different things that she had done, and she'd bought a bunch of books. And he went, simplify, for God's sake, is how I felt he was saying it. Because he was trying to say the stuff he's seen on the blogs, stop with the lemon juice, stop with the thing like black lights and all the stuff you're doing, simplify. I feel like he's not talking necessarily to a searcher, but to what's happening sometimes on the blogs, or to a searcher. Polite email from Christy, exactly spelled Kristie on the night before that I sent him my first email. I mean, if anybody says that's not me, I wouldn't say they're wrong. I would say they're maybe not as right as I think I am.
Okay, so follow-up statement, please. So the scrapbooks, then, in your opinion, would be a public response to a private message, because he can't give people private messages alone that would help them.
Bingo.
So he takes those things and he makes them public so that it's not unfair to anybody else.
Bingo.
Yes. So when I sent him the email that I had made it a mile that day hiking and I didn't know if I should go boots on the ground, I heard nothing from him. The next morning, I woke up and got on the forums and I saw this message and I went, "Oh my gosh, I am Christy." And I sent him a message that said, "Forrest, thank you for sending me the answer, even though you didn't send it to me." And that was what he wanted the world to see. Now, the interesting part is, here's the thing. I told him I had made it a mile that day. He never publicized a mile. He only publicized if you're going long distances. The only thing you can know for sure is long distances. I'm not saying what he's saying is a mile. To me, it's a mile, but you don't necessarily need to go a mile. But I'm not going to derail your thoughts. Keep going, Dave.
No, I believe that on that same line of reasoning, and you can all call me crazy, that's fine.
They're crazy.
I believe that about 4 or 5 of them, of the little simple quotes that he puts out, the little hints he puts out online, are in direct response to me.
Have you ever emailed him directly?
Yeah.
Man.
Has he ever responded?
He has responded to me when I don't ask him, questions, yes.
Have you ever met him?
Not in person.
Have you had any personal interactions in your emails with him to know your life situation?
Yes, he knows my life situation.
Then it's a maybe for me.
Christy, can I talk to you offline?
Yes. And if you want to talk Dave offline, I can give you some of the parameters I personally believe, but I am no one. I am one of, everybody says, "Oh, you're a celebrity searcher." That means nothing.
That means absolutely nothing to me.
Exactly. That's my point, is you're just talking to another searcher, but I just think I'll give you a little bit of experience, which is 1 of 400,000, which is less than 1%, which is nothing.
Yeah, Dave, I wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. I thought that same thing, that Forrest Fenn, he's not the only one that's had to adjust, or we're not the only ones that had to adjust in this hunt. He's had to adjust too. And I think he can publicly respond to a private email and give everybody the same chance to interpret what he's trying to say.
Right.
But it may only be directed to you. It goes to the old adage that a letter arrives at its destination because its destination is wherever it arrives. You are the intended. If you wrote him an email and he's responding to you publicly, but he's not saying your name, you're the intended recipient of that message. Now, the problem is a lot of us interpret that he's talking to us. We interpret that as that's exactly.
Well, but let me ask this question. The last scrapbook, I have had at least 10 people say to me.
It's impossible for him to talk to certain people.
Well, but let me ask this question.
In
How many
generality like that?
Let me ask this question.
Candy is having a episode.
Yeah, and we don't want her to fall over. So let me ask this question. In the chat with the 105 of you, and including the room, how many people believe the latest scrapbook has a hint or message communicated to them?
Which one is that?
The one that is
coronavirus.
305.
Oh, right, like having hope and all that stuff.
0.
It had nothing to do with hints. It was just in relation, because I was talking to Fenn that day and I said,
No, Candy, you're biasing. So you think he wrote it because you asked, but no, there's people in the room that are already answering, no, he wrote it for them. So that would go
I literally have photographic evidence.
He wrote it because he wrote it.
Okay, so there's several people in the room that have already...
In my opinion, if you think that Forrest is writing scrapbooks about you?
Tony, Kristie.
No, I
Yourself.
don't think Forrest is writing scrapbook about me. I said I think Forrest
Right.
writes scrapbook because
He's
Because
writing
of
them
you.
about anybody.
Because of
He's
you. I
writing
agree
them
with
because
you.
he's writing them.
Yeah, but
I
you
agree
have
with you,
no
Candy.
way to make any kind of proof to what you're saying. When
No, and that's the way I think. So,
yeah, but I'm just saying you
No.
can't say that that's true because just because it hasn't happened to you in a way that can really be verified, but you're not going to tell everybody the reason because that would give part of your solution away.
Dave, let me disagree with
some
you.
of his
Wait.
some of his scrapbooks,
I need
I
to.
believe, are in line with my thoughts, with my opinions of this chase, but I am not gonna think that he is writing them about me.
But wait, let me say something. When the message came out about a polite like email from Christy said, if you're walking long distances, you're walking too far. I went up as a newbie because I was like, oh, he wrote something about me. And I went to Chase Chat and I went, don't go there, but as other than an archive. When you go there, I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's a mile. And those people, it was a rough little crowd, and they said, how do you know a mile? And I posted the email that I sent to Forrest, which he let me know later probably wasn't the best.
I think it's a mile.
Well, no, but I can tell you it was a mile because I posted the email of it that it was a mile. And I remember at the time people going, oh, there's context. So when you say, Dave, people don't share additional, I shared it all. Maybe I was stupid for sharing it all, but I did share it all because.
Well, let me ask the question. And I know that Dave is about to ask. Do you think that that is then confirmation that the distance between where you park your car to where the treasure chest is no more than a mile? Because of what he said.
I think that is pretty good confirmation, but it's not 100%. But I think it's pretty good. And when I heard that thing about Christy, your hint, when I heard that, I still didn't believe it for my solve, and I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars walking a lot further than that because it conflicted with what I had as confirmation bias. Now it does not conflict with my confirmation bias, and so now I can see. Yeah, he said that a long time ago. I really blew it. So yeah, I should have listened.
Well, no, but here's what I say to anybody. Forrest has not said it publicly. Though you might like me, dislike me, see the email. I could doctor emails if I knew how to do that. You don't know. Unless he has said it publicly, he's only said, I think, a few miles on long distances. The only thing is, if you were not me, I would only believe long distances. I'm me, so I believe the 1 mile because I don't think Forrest would put me in harm's distance. You don't know if I'm just like this terrible person that everybody talks about and I'm just trying to put people in harm's way.
I assume.
Christy, you're crazy.
Christy,
crazy.
was your question not about the most recent scrapbook that Fenn put out? You said, was the most recent scrapbook that Fenn put out directed towards you?
Right.
What made you think it was directed towards you? I think it was directed towards me and many people. It wasn't because of a clue or anything like that. It was because we all reached out and we all wanted guidance from him about this gosh forsaken coronavirus. We wanted him to give us a light in the darkness. That is why I could comfortably say, yes, Fenn responded to my email and many others and addressed the situation. It wasn't a clue, it wasn't a hint, it was just a freaking connection via email and he made a scrapbook about it. That is what I'm trying to say.
Yes,
Light up the
I like that.
darkness.
Okay.
And one thing I want to respond. There are times, though, when part of the thing that you mention in an email is about your solution, and then he puts out something that says, some kind of scrapbook or some kind of just response, little sentence response. And so, therefore, you can't tell the world what it is because
it's something that agrees with you, so you think that it's about you.
But here's the thing. If you say it's about you, no one's going to care. Like, people up to this point, a few people believe it. Nobody really believes it. And it doesn't do anything but confirm their solves, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I don't think that any of his scrapbooks are about me.
Oh, but
That's
wait,
okay.
wait until
I'm
you're.
too new.
Oh no, wait! At
Yeah,
your 1 year
if
anniversary,
If we have a scrapbook on cheesecake, it is fucking about you two.
and
Yeah.
you know what, Tony? At your 1 year anniversary, Forrest
You got a
does
point.
a secret hint about you. That's your indoctrination. You're officially a vet. So,
If it's about cheesecake, it's
Scrapbook
about me.
250 cheesecake.
yep. Okay, so Dave,
That's
thank you.
strawberry though, man.
He
Sean,
doesn't love cheesecake.
Sean, to you. Final thoughts for tonight as we
It
hit
was fun.
3:13.
It was good times. It was good times being back out here and talking with everybody. It's good times meeting some new people. Cheesecake.
Sean, you could jump on my
Okay.
channel after this.
I
Yeah,
can jump
man.
on your
Hey,
your
man,
channel
email me.
anytime
Email
I
me.
like. Yes, thank you very much. Very good.
Email me.
Miss Dawson's
Yeah,
not
Tony,
I don't
going.
have any content. I don't have any content on my email page or on my YouTube page. I'm only on YouTube
Well,
for
apparently, neither do I any longer.
So I would like to ask that as a final thought because I
That's
know
what you
lots
said.
of people. Are you gonna start to go live? Where are you at? Like through this?
I actually did a live show tonight for about an hour.
Oh,
Got back
okay.
up, addressed a couple issues, but that's just more trying to give people, you know,
I'm on for
I know.
YouTube.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of people out there that are worried about toilet paper and all kinds of other stuff, and
Oh my
you
God,
know,
Simon.
just give some, you know, some other.
So did you
chat.
address if you are back or if you are
No,
just
I'm
saying
not
hi? Okay,
I've never really left. I mean, I'm all in the
Right,
forums and everything else.
I meant back on YouTube, like consistently, because People
no,
liked ya.
No,
They
not
liked ya.
consistently. I think I've gone the way of Davio, which is apparently at this moment taking a nap. But you know, I
well, good job,
I like
though.
to you know, just pop in maybe and just say hi to folks. And I know a lot of people are stuck at home and have nothing but thin on the brain, so it's good to kind of jump in there and give them the flip side of you know, the conversations out there a little bit. So. But
okay.
no, it's good to chat with you guys again and meet some new people. Dave and your kids, who apparently are very cute and
I was gonna say
have cute
adorable.
costumes.
Adorable.
But yeah, no, it's good to meet some of you guys.
Yeah, and there's lots more, and then lots.
This is my first time live.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, this is
welcome
me.
to Hotel
First time
California, Tony.
live. My first time ever on.
Oh, we got Dave. Look at there is Dave.
There he
Have him
is.
now.
Okay, so I will remind everyone that we have a Monday show, which will be a formal presentation. No idea what's going to happen Thursday, but Saturday's the marathon. We have 12 hours already fully booked. I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments. We'll have the agenda out Monday. But Oki, let's talk offline because Candy, it seems like there's a search partnership maybe forming here. Or at least a search discussion. So
No, I just said that he could share
Yes.
my spotlight on the marathon.
that's
Are you guys
awesome.
getting engaged?
It's
I
okay.
feel like
Me and Candy are getting engaged. Yes,
Oh,
we are.
awesome! Congratulations, guys.
I'm
Oh,
just giving you
you're-
like glared at.
I will,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
will
say, your
bring. I
boyfriend's-
will bring the cheesecake.
Oh,
I've got it
okay. Cheesecake
I accept
involved.
that. I like cheesecake.
I'll bring the scrapbook.
Me, Candy,
Oh,
and Kpro are all getting engaged.
Oh, there you go. Mike's not going to be upset at all. And so I will say our next show should be Monday, but Candy has a tendency to say, hey, Kpro, let's just go on live for 5 minutes, and then it's several hours later. And
5
she has
hours
that.
later.
She
I'm
has that
married,
effect.
by the way.
And
I'm married.
Oh, that.
Faithfully.
Candy, you're safe.
Yes, Anna, you can.
So are you, Oki?
Yeah, I was going to say there's.
That was just for fun.
How
That
did
was
we
just
get here? How did we
strictly
get
for
here? Super fun. Thank you all for a fun night. Candy may be going on later. I'm definitely not. You guys have been a blast tonight. We discussed lots of things. And we will see you on the
flip
Monday
side.
show. I was going to say on the flip side, but I don't want to take that. I'll see you on Monday night, y'all. And Mike will be here, and it'll be a
You
blast.
can come up with a catchphrase, girl.
You know what,
Come on.
Christy?
I need
We
to.
both know you're just gonna refill your cow cup with more tequila. So get your butt on my channel after this.
Hey, Christy, here's your
Go along,
catchphrase.
Candy.
We will utterly
You going on, Candy?
you on Cal's channel.
What's going on?
You going on? You
Okay.
going live, Candy?
Okay,
Yeah,
friends.
I'm going live after this, so I'll be on my channel, the Imagination channel.
Okay, we are
do we get over
stopping
there? How do
our
we get over
stream,
Go to the
friends.
Imagination channel,
Wait,
Trevor's.
Oki's got something. Hold on.
Do you like my beard?
We're already here.
Oh, all the graybeards? Is that what we're saying? The beards in the middle?
What's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point of changing channels if we're already all here?
Because I'm heading out for the night because it is 3:17 a.m. So, though I appreciate you all, I am heading out for the night, and we already do 2 different nights of programming plus 12 hours on Saturday. So we will see you all there. But you guys keep going, have
It's
fun.
a time zone thing.
It's a time zone thing. Ain't no thing. Okay.
You,
Ain't
Benjamin
no time
Franklin.
but stick away.
Okay. You all have a good night.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night, Kpro.